Dragon Ball Super Exposure. I am a Super Saiyan. Chapter 121-140. Chapter 121-Kill Frieza. Against Sharu. Call out. A burst of broken sound came, and then, 5 figures appeared directly in front of Luya, but they did not attack Luya first, but fell to the ground one after another, posing in a strange posture. What is it? Luya frowned slightly, then reached out and shot an energy bomb directly. What? Ginyu, who was headed by him, suddenly changed his face, and he was a little confused. Shouldn't he communicate? Why do you act without saying a word? And more importantly, they haven't introduced themselves yet. Boom. Under a burst of explosions, the Ginyu team directly screamed and turned into fly ash. Luya was a little speechless. System, isn't this a bit simpler? System, this is a task triggered by the host using time travel. The difficulty level is random. Luya sighed. If he didn't complete the task, he still didn't want to travel through time and space. If Weiss and the others found out, it might lead to a series of troubles. Thinking of this, Luya's eyes suddenly lit up. He wondered if he could even explode the entire Namek planet. Anyway, it will explode in the end. But this idea was quickly stifled. Vegeta and the others are still here. If they are killed together, they will be playing a fart behind. Thinking of this, Luya pointed to the eyebrows, and soon felt the breath of Frieza, and disappeared in an instant. Meanwhile, in a tribe, Frieza is a little bored. The Dragon Ball has been stolen, and there is no news from his men, which is very impatient for him. Swish. Suddenly, a figure appeared in the field. It was Luya. Oh, who are you? Frieza looked at Luya, a little surprised. Luya smiled slightly. Frieza, we meet again. What? Have you seen me? Frieza asked curiously. He had never seen the other party, but he was only surprised by the other party's sudden appearance, because he was very confident in his own strength. Who else in the universe is his Emperor Frieza's opponent? I've seen it. You're still the same. Luya smiled, and then let go of the tail wrapped around his waist. Tail, could it be that you are a Saiyan? Frieza was startled, and then her eyes narrowed slightly, revealing a hint of obscurity. That's right, I'm a Saiyan. I'm here this time to get rid of you. Luya smiled slightly, his tone relaxed, as if he didn't take Frieza in his eyes. Ho 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 ho, solve me. I have to say, your tone is not ordinary, since that's the case. Frieza smiled evilly, and then suddenly shot. Call out. A red light is directly lacing out, which can penetrate everything. But Luya didn't mean to dodge at all, and let the attack shoot on him, but he didn't have any shit. Quote ? Frieza frowned. It shouldn't be. It's useless, your attack is almost like scratching a tick. Let's transform into the final form. Luya said jokingly. Interesting, you still know my final form, it's really interesting. Frieza laughed, and then he jumped off the throne and fell to the ground, his height instantly decreased. Since you know, then I won't pretend, and you are very honored to die under my power. Frieza sarcastically said. The next moment, he directly exploded, and suddenly, an extremely powerful force erupted from his body. And Frieza's appearance has also changed into a different appearance. Luya raised his eyebrows. Under the system's detection, the opponent's combat power reached 1.2 million, and as he continued to transform, the combat power was still skyrocketing. At the same time, the entire Namek planet was immediately affected by Frieza's breath, and it immediately trembled. Luya is a little speechless. Is this planet so weak? Could he destroy this place by stomping his feet? Frieza transforms again. Frieza Tier 3. The combat power has reached 2.2 million. And it's not over yet. Finally, Frieza broke through to his final form. The combat power has reached 60 million. Life on the entire Namek planet felt this unmatched power. How is it? This is my final form. Doesn't it make you desperate? Frieza joked. Luya was speechless. Do you see me as desperate? Chi. Frieza's face darkened. This guy who suddenly appeared, could it be a Super Saiyan? Luya hooked his hand at him. Come on, let me see. Frieza's eyes were fierce, and he disappeared in the next instant, and he had already appeared behind Luya. Just when he punched Luya, Luya suddenly gave Frieza a crit with an elbow. Ouch! Frieza's eyes quickly became bloodshot, and she suddenly couldn't believe it. How is that possible? Luya laughed jokingly, and then his hand suddenly swung up, and the back of his fist hit Frieza's face directly, and the latter flew out and crashed into the hill. Boom boom boom. The next second, Frieza soared into the sky in a rage. He looked at Luya with disbelief in his eyes. How is it possible? You are just a monkey, how can you hurt me? Luya shook his head. You are not even as good as ants, and you say that Saiyans are monkeys and frogs in the well. Drink. Frieza was furious, and for a while, he transformed himself again, his muscles exploded, and his breath more than doubled. He saw the gap between himself and the other party, and he stopped holding hands for a while. The other party might be the legendary Super Saiyan. 120 million. It's still very weak, Luya whispered, then condensed a white energy bomb in his hand, ready to end the battle. Frieza pointed one finger at the sky, and then, a red ball of energy expanded directly. Zoom in. Ho ha ho ho, if I do this move, the entire Namek planet will be buried together. You have to secure it, Frieza said treacherously. Luya smiled and then said, actually, you are indeed a genius. If you can practice a little, your strength will definitely reach a terrifying level, and you can even become Golden Frieza. Golden Frieza? What do you mean? Frieza was stunned, a little puzzled. You don't need to know this, go to hell to repent. The energy bomb in Luya's hand suddenly radiated light, and it has been charged. Damn, go to hell. Frieza was furious, and then he threw the huge energy ball down. Luya stretched out his hand and directly fired an energy bomb. Suddenly, his energy bomb directly penetrated Frieza's energy ball. At the same time, lash out towards the opponent. Boom. Under a huge explosion, along with Frieza's screams, his body was suddenly swallowed up by white light, and finally dissipated as flying ash. Open black lens bracket drop. Congratulations to the host for solving Frieza. The task is 1/5 completed, please make persistent efforts. Close black lens bracket. It was solved, Luya shrugged, and then he glanced around, but gave up the plan to do something. What he did now has had an impact on this time and space. At this moment, he is like the future Trank like Sri Lanka, it has rewritten the development route of this world. After a while, Luya used the time and space shuttle and disappeared suddenly. When Luya reappeared, he appeared in a ring. Open black lens bracket drop. Congratulations to the host for successfully signing into the battlefield against Sharu. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket drop. Rewards the host's time and space proficiency plus 5%. Sharu. Luya suddenly felt something. He suddenly turned around and just met Sharu's eyes. What's the matter? Who is he? At this time, the Z soldiers were also curious about Luya who suddenly appeared. Luya looked away and noticed the situation on the field. At this moment, Yamcha, Hyun Tianjinfan and others surrounded a boy who had no breath, and that boy was Trunks. At the same time, Gohan, who has transformed into Super Saiyan 2, was seriously injured at the moment, while Vegeta was thrown on the ground in an embarrassed manner, a properly tragic tower. It turned out that, Luya understood, this is not long after Goku died, Sharu was resurrected with the help of his immortal brain, and his strength increased greatly, and he was approaching the stage of Super Saiyan 2. What's the matter? Are there people who are not afraid of death? What are you? Sharu looked at Luya arrogantly. Now he is invincible, even Sun Wuhan is disabled, and no one can fight him again. Luya looked at Shalu and immediately smiled. You are very arrogant. Humph. Shalu snorted coldly, then let out a low drink, and the terrifyingly swollen power erupted directly. Then, a powerful golden yellow aura enveloped him, and the breath was amazing. Luya raised his eyebrows. Although Sharu is indeed powerful, it is not a timeline after all. The strength of the opponent is still incomparable with the Super Saiyan in his world. But Sharu didn't think so. He was very unfamiliar with this guy who suddenly appeared. According to his own memory, he had the same impression of Luya. Get rid of this kid first. As soon as the idea came out, Sharu moved instantly and disappeared. After Sun Wukong's death, because his power has been transformed again, so can Sun Wukong's teleportation. But for Luya, it doesn't matter if it will or not. Swish. Sharu suddenly appeared on top of Luya's head, his toes moved, and he kicked out directly towards Luya. Luya's figure flashed directly, and the next moment he appeared directly in front of Shalu. He also kicked out, hit the opponent's face, and directly knocked him into the air, smashing through mountains. Quote exclamation mark exclamation mark exclamation mark. The sudden scene stunned the friends. They didn't expect the opponent's power to be so powerful. Instantly knocked Sharu flying. On the other hand, Gohan's face was extremely solemn, and it was true to say that not long ago, he had already thought that he was the number one in the universe, but now seeing this stranger who suddenly appeared, he actually felt a little like facing a big mountain. Luya glanced at everyone, and then looked at Kaylin. Let them eat fairy beans when they are injured. Kaylin reacted, and immediately responded, oh. Boom. At this moment, a powerful force suddenly burst out, and then, the gravel flew around, and Sharu's body appeared in everyone's sight. At this moment, there was no anger on Shalu's face, but excitement, as if he had met a powerful opponent. Very good. Very good. I thought that I would not be able to enjoy my evolution again, but I didn't expect a master like you to appear. It really excites me. Luya glanced at him, then grinned, really? But unfortunately, you won't be excited soon. P.S. After thinking about it for a while, it is indeed a bit inappropriate. After crossing the main line, let's talk about it after writing the super, otherwise too many dramas are not good. After writing this, we will go to the power conference. Chapter 122-Sharu's death. Rewrite history. Boom. Sharu's anger has reached an astonishing level. It has to be said that at this stage, Super Saiyans are just beginning to be able to put on the stage. Of course, at the beginning, the enemies behind will only become more and more perverted. Luya hooked his fingers towards Sharu, full of provocation. Damn it. Sharu's face suddenly became ugly, as if he was being provoked. Suddenly, he rushed out directly towards Luya. Rushing in front of Luya, Shalu directly used all his strength to hit a set of shadowless punches, while Luya blocked and did not counterattack. Drink. With a single punch, Shalu knocked Luya back with a single punch. Humph. What's the matter? Is your strength so low? I haven't used it yet. Sharu looked at Luya mockingly and said. Luya glanced at his hand, then looked at Shalu. Have you not eaten? What? Sharu was startled, then clenched his teeth and looked at Luya. Impossible. He had already exerted his strength just now. There is absolutely no possibility of such an existence. Luya showed a disappointed expression. Seriously, your strength has disappointed me a bit, but it's normal. After all, I'm stronger than you can imagine. That guy, aren't you kidding? Klein said shamelessly. Who knows? But this person has a strange aura, and I can't perceive the depth of the other's anger at all. Piccolo said seriously. It's amazing. If Wukong sees him, I'm afraid he will be very happy. Tianjin fan sighed. Speaking of Wukong, everyone is a little disappointed. Originally Wukong would not die. Gohan was also silent. Without his flirtatiousness, Dad would not have died. Thinking of this, he looked at Sharu with murderous intent. Impossible. You must be pretending. I am the strongest perfect body. How could I be defeated by you? Sharu roared, and then, he suddenly raised his hand, and suddenly a circular light flake condensed, and getting bigger. Is it Frieza's trick? Luya grinned when he saw this scene. Come on. Go to hell. Sharu roared, and then directly threw a move like Chi Yuan slash at Luya. The latter did not dodge, and suddenly a hand knife slashed down. Puff. Suddenly, the round cut was directly split in half by Luya. Broken directly. Quote exclamation mark exclamation mark exclamation mark. Sharu and the others were shocked. They didn't expect the other party to smash Sharu's ultimate move so easily. That guy faced Sharu, just like Gohan faced Sharu before. It's too easy. Who is he? Tianjin fan couldn't help but said in shock. Anyway, the Earth is saved. Krillin breathed a sigh of relief. Chi. Damn it. Vegeta's face was extremely ugly at this time. Others didn't notice it, but he noticed that this young boy who suddenly appeared has a tail. Saiyan. He directly determined that the other party was a Saiyan. Damn it. In addition to Kakarot, there are other Saiyans who are stronger than him. He doesn't accept it. He. It seems that you do have two brushes, but my strength is not what it used to be, so I will definitely get rid of you. Sharu said with a grim expression. Really? Then let's try it. Luya smiled slightly. Turtle. Pie. Suddenly, Sharu suddenly lifted off into the sky, and then, he gathered his strongest strength and prepared to expand. Not good. In that position, the full power of the turtle Qigong can destroy the earth. Piccolo's face turned green with shock. Everyone is also ready to start. Luya raised his mouth and said immediately, do you want to play this turtle Qigong directly, or do you want to use teleportation to deal with me? What? How do you know? Shalu was shocked when he heard the words, because he really thought of using the second method, so he used all his strength to condense the turtle school Qigong. Luya shook his head and smiled. You are the rest of my game, but I can reveal a secret to you before you die. What? Shalu was inexplicably disturbed. Luya chuckled, then snorted lowly, and burst into gas. In an instant, the golden light enveloped him directly and turned into a Super Saiyan. How is that possible? Impossible. Seeing this scene, Shalu and everyone were stunned. I didn't expect Luya to be a Saiyan. You can also transform into a Super Saiyan. And this power. A drop of cold sweat fell on Gohan's face. He was the strongest on the spot, and he naturally felt the power of lure. Even if he surpassed the limit of Super Saiyan, he could not defeat the opponent. How could it be? Shalu shuddered, almost interrupting the cohesion of the turtle school Qigong. Luya moved his tail and said, how is it? Surprise. Damn. Go to hell. Drink ah. Sharu didn't want to make Luya any more proud, and he also felt the pressure from the other party's breath, so this time, he didn't hesitate and chose to play the strongest turtle Qigong. Not good. Gohan suddenly exploded, and was about to go up to stop it. Luya sneered. Banman gets an axe. Take my trick. Swish swish. Turtle, pie, chi, gong. Luya's standing position was directly split, and the next moment he directly played the turtle Qigong. Suddenly, the two forces directly collided. But it is obvious that Luya's power is better than Sharu's power. Impossible. I am the ultimate perfection. The strongest existence in the universe. How could I possibly lose here? This is the end of your journey, Sharu, rest on earth. Luya snorted, no longer holding back, and directly raised the Qigong wave to a higher level. Ah! Sharu could no longer resist, and was directly swept away by this blow. Even the powerful ultimate perfect body gradually dissipated at this moment. Not even the toughest brains are spared. Sharu's anger disappeared. Everyone breathed a sigh of relief. Luya took back his strength and breathed a sigh of relief. Open black lens bracket drop. Congratulations to the host for defeating Sharu. Mission completed 2/5. Close black lens bracket. Well, can I ask, who are you? Krillin asked boldly at this time. Huh, Luya looked at them, then smiled. I'm a Saiyan. Impossible. The Saiyans should have been eliminated by Frieza. Apart from the Saiyans on Earth, there will be no other Saiyans. Vegeta said in a cold voice, obviously disbelieving. Luya looked at him. How do you know not? Were you there when Frieza destroyed planet Vegeta? Quote. Vegeta choked, not knowing how to answer. Has a tail, can transform into a Super Saiyan, it should be a Saiyan, can't be an artificial human like Sharu. Yamcha muttered. Then tell me, what is the name of the planet where Saiyans were born? Vegeta still did not believe it, and tentatively asked. Planet Sarada, Luya said lightly. Vegeta was startled, then fell silent. Everyone thinks that planet Vegeta is the origin of Saiyans, but there is still a very complicated story. Planet Vegeta is just a planet they grabbed. Few people know this. The guy in front of him actually knew that it was not easy. Luya spread out his hands. Okay, I thought I could come here to be a strong opponent, but I didn't expect this kind of thing. Now that the goal has been achieved, I should go back. What, it's just this kind of stuff. It's too casual to say. Klein said with some dissatisfaction. Luya smiled, then looked at Gohan, and said, Congratulations on reaching the second level of Super Saiyan. I hope you can continue to practice. Don't bury this talent, and don't feel guilty about your father. He will be resurrected, yes, don't worry. Huh. Gohan was stunned, unable to turn around. Super Saiyan Tier 2, what do you mean? Is it Gohan's new transformation? Piccolo asked. Luya smiled slightly, and then said, Okay, I won't play with you, I'll go first. After speaking, Luya's body flashed and disappeared directly. What a strange person. He seems to know our situation very well. Tianjin Fan said with a frown. Could it be from the future like Trunks? Klein wondered. It is not impossible for everyone to be silent. Ellipsis. On the other side, Luya appeared on a cliff, and he was a little bored. System, can I go back? Host, you haven't completed the task yet. It is recommended to complete the task first. Otherwise, the more time and space you use, the more you will be noticed by the gods of other universes, so it is better to complete the task at one time, and it is not too late to go back. The system prompted. If you knew this earlier, you shouldn't have to reward me for time travel. What's the use of this thing? Luya complained. I'm sorry, host, the reward is not within the control of this system, so you only got it after good luck. The system said lightly. It's almost the same luck if you step on the shit. Luya curled his lips, and then he had no choice but to use time and space to travel. Of course, he can determine which time period to travel through. The reason for this is that he just wants to see how far the strongest villains have reached. I have to say that Luya also started to wave. When Luya disappeared in this time and space, in this time period, in a dark space, a bloody light suddenly appeared. After a long time, a voice came out. It's strange, how could someone travel through time and space? Could it be a god following me? No, that plan has to escape the pursuit of those boring gods. Ellipsis. At the same time, Luya appeared in a desert. Luya, who just appeared, keenly felt a strong chi, which shocked him a little. This breath is Boo's breath. Open black lens bracket drop. Congratulations to the host for successfully signing into the Majin Buu battlefield. Please host to start the mission. Close black lens bracket. Hearing this, Luya understood, and immediately after feeling the other party's chi, he directly used teleportation to disappear. P.S. Please remind me if there are typos. I sometimes don't read paragraph reviews often. Please remind me of chapter reviews. Thank you. Chapter 123-Super Saiyan vs Majin Buu. Boom, boom, boom. In a mountain range, Majin Buu was wreaking havoc, carpet bombing, as if trying to find something. And in a hidden stone crevice, Piccolo and Gotenks are hiding inside, watching Buu destroy in the distance. Damn, that guy is so terrifying. Piccolo's eyes were full of fear, and his face was even more helpless. Even Gotenks is not his opponent, who can defeat him now? And now that Goku and Gohan are gone, even Vegeta has fallen, and the whole Earth can stop Buu only Gotenks. We have to say, Majin Buu's power has surpassed Gotenks'. It is impossible to deal with each other. Uncle Piccolo, I'm going out to fight him. Gotenks regained his strength, then stood up and said arrogantly. He was forced to hide here, and it was already enough of humiliation, and he must not be so embarrassed anymore. No, even if you go out, you're not his opponent. In this case, it's better to outsmart. Piccolo said solemnly. The two boys obviously want to mess around. How could this be? Don't underestimate my power. Gotenks clenched his fists, then burst into a rage, shouted angrily, and transformed himself into a Tier 3 Super Saiyan. Done. Piccolo couldn't help covering his face. These two were so annoying. Hee hee. Full power transformation. I feel full of power. Gotenks grinned. Oh, suddenly, a head stuck out from the outside, revealing a dangerous smile. Majin Buu. Piccolo's face changed greatly when he saw the other party. Gotenks, however, was not afraid at all, pointing at Demon Buu. Come on. Now is your time of death. Hee hee hee. Majin Buu smirked, but it was full of ridicule. Ha! Gotenks shouted for a while, and the place where they were was immediately blasted by a powerful force. Bump. In the next second, the two figures in the air directly collided with each other at high speed. The speed was astonishing. Gotenks took the initiative to attack Majin Buu, but it could be seen that Majin Buu was able to dodge with ease and did not release Gotenks at all. In the eyes. Eat my trick. Gotenks slammed into the sky with a cannon. Majin Buu does not dodge or dodge, hits the spot. Boom. Immediately, the sky cannon passed directly through Buu's body. There's a big hole in my stomach. However, Buu didn't look like it was important at all. His body trembled directly, and he immediately recovered his physical body. Damn. Gotenks was a little unhappy, and rushed towards the opponent fiercely. At this moment, Buu suddenly showed a strange arc, and when Gotenks was about to hit him, he suddenly raised his hand and grabbed the opponent's fist. What? Gotenks was startled. Buu smiled, then picked up Gotenks and hit him in the face with the other hand. Bang, bang, bang. Punching to the flesh, Gotenks screamed in pain. Oops. Piccolo, who was watching the battle on the other side, suddenly changed his face. He had already guessed that this would be the result. Gotenks can't beat the current Buu. After a hammer blow, Buu withdrew his fist and looked at Gotenks with a wicked smile. At this moment, Gotenks blushed, and a huge pain prevented him from opening his eyes. Demon Buu didn't give him a chance to recover, he just grabbed the opponent and threw it around a few times before throwing it out. Boom. Trunks directly smashed a few large rocks and buried himself in the pile of rocks. Quote. Piccolo's face was ugly. The current situation is too dead, and there is no resistance at all. Gotenks struggled to stand up. He looked at Majin Buu, a little depressed. Why couldn't he beat the opponent? No reason. The two little devils who transformed into Super Saiyan 3 were very confident. They thought they would be able to fight with each other, but after fighting, the opponent did not exert their full strength at all. Majin Buu descended slowly, and then, he suddenly grinned at Gotenks and hooked his finger. Come again. Damn. Do you look down on me? Gotenks became unhappy. He looked at Buu, and immediately raised his chi to the top, charging directly towards him. Call out. But suddenly a figure appeared blocking his path. Wow. Gotenks was startled and hurriedly braked. Who is that? Piccolo looked at Luya who suddenly appeared, and asked suspiciously. At the same time, Goku and Gohan on Kaiwang Star both felt the presence of a powerful breath, and they were all surprised. What's going on? Why is there an aura that I've never seen before? Wukong asked in surprise. The aura that suddenly appeared was so powerful that even he wouldn't dare to say that he could win against the opponent. It seems that someone has come forward to stop Majin Buu. The old king of the realm said indifferently. Well, do I still need to practice? Gohan asked suddenly. What nonsense you say, you've already made it to this point, just sit down and sit down. The old realm king said a lesson. Oh, Gohan didn't dare to speak after hearing the words, and sat honestly. If I can be resurrected, I can go to the scene to see it. It's really nerve-wracking, Wukong said a little depressed. Ellipsis. On the battlefield, Majin Buu also looked at Luya who suddenly appeared in surprise, and was a little puzzled. Who? Luya glanced at Gotenks, then grinned. Yo, Gotenks. Huh, do you know me? Gotenks said in surprise. Luya smiled and didn't answer. At the same time, it was a bit complicated. The beginning of Dragon Ball Super seems to be after defeating Majin Buu. It seems that if you want to defeat Majin Buu, you still need to work hard. Back then, when Wukong beat Demon Buu, he used vitality bombs. Of course, Luya would also be able to use vitality bombs, but he couldn't use them, because he was an outsider after all, and no one would believe him and send vitality to him. How about he let me solve it? Luya looked at Gotenks and smiled. That's not good. He's mine. Gotenks shook his head and refused. This guy made him so embarrassed, he must find his way back. Thinking of this, Gotenks crossed Luya and was about to rush over. Swish. Suddenly at this moment, Gotenks suddenly split in two. What's the matter? Time is up, Trunks said a little unhappily. Hey. Majin Buu suddenly rushed towards the two little devils. Be careful, Trunks. Goten. Piccolo's expression changed, and he hurriedly shouted. Wow! Trunks and Goten suddenly turned pale. They understood that non-merging was no match for Majin Buu. Just when Buu was about to rush in front of the two little devils, Luya suddenly appeared to block the two, and at the same time kicked the devil Buu away. Luya glanced at the two little ghosts, and then said, Hurry up and hide, leave it to me here. After speaking, he fell in Buu's direction. Who is that big brother? Wushin asked curiously. Who knows? Come on Goten, let's go to Uncle Piccolo. Trunks greeted. On the other side, Buu stood up, rubbed his kicked face, and then looked at Luya, his face a little ugly. Luya fell in front of him and smiled. What? Where's your silly smile? Show it off. Roar. Buu let out a low roar, and then suddenly stretched directly from the waist and above, and extended towards Luya, at a very fast speed. However, Luya was vigilant. When the other party rushed in front of him, he disappeared directly. The next moment he appeared in the sky, and a cannonball fell directly in his hand. Boom! With a burst of explosions, Buu's lower body was directly blown to pieces. Majin Buu gritted his teeth a little, and then the minced meat fused together again. But what no one noticed was that a small piece of minced meat was hiding. Recovering his body like rubber, Buu rushed directly in front of Luya and punched out. Da. Under a series of collisions, the two of them fought fiercely together for a while. Impossible. That guy can even be on par with Majin Buu. Piccolo said in shock. I hope he can hold on, and when our time is up, we will be able to fuse again, and we will be able to defeat Majin Buu. Trunks said proudly. Piccolo. Is this child still immersed in his invincibility? Luya and Buu hit from the ground to the air, and from the air to all directions, the battle was fierce. At the same time, Luya found that the power of this demon Buu is indeed very powerful. Even if he has increased his normal combat power to a very powerful level, he cannot gain the upper hand against Demon Buu. The strength of Majin Buu is very powerful. It can be said that it is stronger than the third level Super Saiyan in this time period. And since the end of the enemy this time, although Goku and the others have improved a lot, they are still not as good as Majin Buu under normal circumstances. After all, Majin Buu almost wiped out a group of them. Bang! Luya punched Buu's face into shape, but the next second, he was entangled by Buu's hands. Luya's face changed, and the next moment he saw Buu spit, and suddenly a shell blew Luya straight to the ground. He. Buu laughed proudly. Ah! Suddenly, Luya below shouted violently, and then, a terrifying force rose directly into the sky. The golden yellow aura was raging, extremely terrifying. P.S. After completing this task, we will go to the power conference. After the power conference is over, we will slowly take the time and space route. Chapter 124-Unkillable Majin Buu. Danger. Gotenks is absorbed. Luya directly turned into a Super Saiyan to fight, and he knew that he could not win the opponent under normal conditions. Of course, if you can't completely destroy the opponent, no matter how much impact you give, the opponent will recover instantly. However, his operation was stunned by Piccolo and others, because they didn't know that Luya could transform into a Super Saiyan. It means that Luya is a Saiyan. Goku and others who were far away in the realm were also stunned. The sudden appearance of the Saiyans caught them off guard. There is a new Saiyan. Shish. Luya looked up at the demon Boo, grinned, and the next moment he suddenly appeared in front of Boo, punching directly into the opponent's stomach. Ouch! Boo was caught off guard and screamed, his eyes were about to pop out. So fast. Vic's face turned green, he couldn't see Luya's movements at all. Luya raised a slight arc, then turned his fist into a palm, and an energy bullet pushed Boo out directly. In the process, the opponent's body was directly pierced by the energy bullet. But soon Boo stabilized his body. I saw that he stopped and his body recovered directly. He looked at Luya with a gloomy face, and suddenly two groups of red lights condensed in his hand. The next second, he fought a prince battle directly towards Luya. La! Luya dodged dexterously, and at the same time, he found the opportunity to launch artillery shells, and immediately offset the opponent's strength. Ha! Luya let out a low voice, instantly exerted his strength, and rushed directly in front of Demon Boo. He punched and kicked together, and the opponent had no backhand power. Bump! One punch took Boo away. It fell fiercely, and a huge pit appeared directly. Call out! Luya didn't intend to keep his hand, so he shot down and exploded again in no time. Luya looked at the smoke, and he didn't think that this kind of attack could solve the opponent. There is no smoke. Sure enough, the smoke dissipated, and Majin Buu was standing in the giant pit without any injuries. It's interesting. Luya smiled slightly. Buu glanced at Luya, and immediately showed a radian. The next moment, the tentacles on his head appeared and released a bolt of lightning, hitting Luya directly. Luya's eyes narrowed, and his body quickly dodged. To deal with this trick is to be able to turn the opponent into chocolate. However, Majin Buu did not stop, and continued to release light towards the opponent. While Luya dodged, he played the prince's tactics towards Duo. With bursts of explosions, the opponent's attack was neutralized. Majin Buu's eyes narrowed, and he was about to start. At this time, his whole body was completely white, and the next second, he suddenly found that his body could not move. Suddenly, Luya appeared in front of him, with the turtle Qigong already condensed in his hand. Ha! With a low drink, Luya fired a turtle Qigong directly towards the opponent at close range. Majin Buu screamed directly, and his body immediately melted. With one blow, Luya jumped and jumped back. At this time, Buu's appearance was extremely miserable. The opponent's body was squirming like wax baked by fire. Except for his face, which was still a few % complete, there was nothing good about it. It's tenacious, Luya whispered. Such an enemy is indeed a bit troublesome. It must be killed with one hit. Such a power, Super Saiyan is simply not enough. Damn! Ah! Buu roared suddenly, and then his body was condensed at this time, and his body was restored. However, his breath was a little bit backward. Undoubtedly, Luya's attack still had an impact on him. Buu looked at Luya. He found that he was not the opponent of this human being. His eyes suddenly became deep, and he had to find a way to improve his strength. Thinking of this, his dark eyes suddenly turned, and he glanced at Gotenks vaguely. However, his little action could not escape Luya's capture. He knew what the other party wanted to do, and it was nothing more than planning to devour Gotenks. But he won't let the other party succeed. However, what Luya didn't know was that Buu's small piece of meat had quietly approached the trunks. I advise you not to waste your time. No matter what, I will make you disappear from this world. Luya said with a faint smile. Buu took a meaningful look at Luya, then shouted angrily. A powerful breath burst out, and a terrifying light enveloped him. Obviously, he planned to use his real kung fu. Luya naturally doesn't dare to be careless. This guy is quite evil. If he is not cautious, he will not know when he will take a day trip to the other's belly. Bump. The two looked at each other, then moved at the same time, and when they collided, a powerful aura radiated directly, with extraordinary power. The two staged a high-speed confrontation, and the powerful force made Piccolo and others sweat. Just by transforming into a Super Saiyan, he can compete with Majin Buu to such an extent that this guy is stronger than Goku. Piccolo had to sigh. Goku becomes a Super Saiyan Tier 3. I'm afraid it's just like that, and this guy is too strong. What? Luya punched Buu directly, and suddenly, a powerful force emanated. Buu sneered, and then swept out Luya. Luya's face remained the same. He grabbed the opponent's foot directly, and swept it hard, trying to throw it out. But Buu suddenly grabbed Luya, and at the same time his body was stretched by the impact force. After a moment of pause in the air, it suddenly reflected back and slammed directly into Luya's face. Luya screamed and flew out directly. It hurts. Luya grinned and covered his face. Hee hee. Buu looked at Luya with a playful smile. Luya was a little angry. This guy doesn't talk about martial arts at all. At this time, Buu suddenly took the initiative to charge towards Luya. However, Luya's eyes condensed, and in the next moment, time suddenly stopped. Everything stops. Even Buu stopped. He was shocked. That force couldn't even break free. How could it be possible? Luya suddenly appeared in front of Buu, and punched directly into Buu's stomach. This punch, he used all his strength. Boom! An invisible energy penetrated directly into Buu's body, and the latter's eyes widened in vain. A look of pain. Returning to normal, Buu spit out a mouthful of white foam, covered his stomach and slumped down, baring his teeth in pain. The opponent's blow was not a simple energy bomb, but a real physical attack. That kind of pain is almost unstoppable even if it is as strong as Buu. Luya looked at him blankly. This punch, he imitated, hit highly, and Buu's ability to catch this punch and still move is enough to prove his power. But Luya stretched out his hand towards Buu and burst into the air, and the opponent was directly shocked by the powerful aura. As long as you don't use energy bombs, I can kill you alive. Luya grinned. The next second he rushed directly in front of Buu, grabbed his tentacles, punched directly, and beat him violently. After beating up, he picked up the opponent and slammed it on the ground, directly smashing a big hole in the ground. Buu tenaciously suddenly fired an energy bomb sneak attack, but Luya tilted his head to avoid it. At the same time, he stretched out his palm towards Buu and blasted it with an energy bomb. Boom! The smoke cleared, and Buu couldn't do anything, but there were scars on his body. Luya controlled his chi to the point where he could injure the opponent without destroying the opponent. If you can't kill it, you can kill it. Ah! Buu couldn't bear this kind of torture. He roared suddenly, the huge aura came out, and even Luya had to back away. Buu's body suddenly jumped into the air, his hands were raised above his head, his face had a hideous look, and at the same time, an energy ball was condensed and continuously expanded. Soon, the energy bomb was directly condensed, and Buu threw it down. Luya's eyes condensed, suddenly burst into gas, and then gathered gas. Turtle, Pi, Chi, Gong. Under the violent drink, Luya directly hit the turtle Qigong and slammed into the huge energy bomb. Buu gritted his teeth and pushed forward, resisting the opponent's counterattack. This move of his is enough to wipe out everyone in the field. Luya frowned, and then his chi rose again, and he turned into a second-tier Super Saiyan. Lightning continued to grow all over the body, and the breath was upgraded to a new level. Ha-ah-ah. With a loud shout, Luya suddenly increased his strength, and a terrifying force erupted directly, and the energy of Turtle School Qigong rose sharply. Directly suppressed Buu's attack. Wow-ah-ah. Buu finally had a look of fear in his eyes, but it was too late. He was directly hit by the attack that Luya pushed back. With a loud noise, his figure was instantly drowned. It's so strong. It's not on the same level at all. Feeling the battle, Wukong suddenly became excited, but unfortunately he couldn't go. The thick smoke dissipated, revealing Buu's figure. After such a terrifying attack, Buu's body had been shattered, but he was not on the verge of death, but the breath on his body had weakened a lot. Didn't you die? Luya sighed that the other party's life was as big as Xiaoqiang. On the other side, Trunks suddenly became excited. Hey Goten. It seems that the time has come, let's merge. Okay. Goten did not refuse. After the two little ghosts danced a strange dance, they merged directly again. Gotenks appears. Piccolo's eyelids jumped. What else do you want to join in the fun? Hee hee. Majin Buu, we must defeat it. Otherwise, how will we find our way back? Gotenks said in a proud voice. Piccolo. Just as Gotenks was about to start, suddenly, a mutation suddenly occurred, and I saw a group of pink objects rushing directly from behind Gotenks, silently. Not good. When Piccolo reacted, the meat-like thing completely wrapped Gotenks' body. What's going on? What Gotenks struggled for a while, but it didn't work at all. After wrapping Gotenks, the mass of flesh was compressed directly, and then rushed towards Buu, directly merging into Buu's body. The latter's body recovered directly, and the breath suddenly began to skyrocket. Oops. Miscalculation. Luya's face sank. P.S. Thanks to readers and friends for paying 1 year for the certification of the gods, and adding more to the big guys. It's quite a surprise. I can still receive the certification of the great god in my lifetime, and I quickly worked overtime to code a chapter for the great god. I said why there is no power to code words these days. Does this come without inspiration? As long as there is a reward, we are good friends. Isn't it the same as playing? Chapter 125-desperate. Luya was also absorbed. Gotenks has been absorbed. Luya is a little confused. So fast. This is not what he thought. Bastard. Piccolo immediately exploded when he saw this scene, feeling extremely annoyed. He shouldn't let these two little devils fuse. At this point, he has already seen Majin Buu's plan. He just wants to wait for Gotenks to appear before absorbing it, so that his power will be even stronger. This is a premeditated plan. But Piccolo doesn't know that Majin Buu has the power to absorb people. This shocked him. At this moment, Buu, who had absorbed Gotenks, felt relieved and couldn't help roaring. Suddenly, a powerful force burst out. For a time, a terrifying aura enveloped the audience, and the whole Earth was covered with him. The power of even other planets other than Earth can detect this chi. Luya frowned a little. He was thinking about how to save Gotenks, or did he say no? Just get rid of Buu. Anyway, this is just a temporary place for him to travel through. But after thinking about it, Luya shook his head. Although it was just a task, he had to be a person. Thinking of this, Luya looked at the devil Buu, instantly lifted his breath, and directly raised his power to the extreme. Super Saiyan Tier 2. This form is enough to deal with the opponent. Hey, you're done. Demon Buu looked at Luya, showing his white teeth. Gotenks' clothes appeared on the surface of his body, and then he rushed directly towards Luya. Swish. Bang. Suddenly, under a collision, Majin Buu's body flew straight out. Luya stood on the spot and didn't move, but his face became cold and arrogant. Demon Buu struggled to stand up, then gritted his teeth and looked at the other party, not understanding that his strength has been improved by several grades. How could he be defeated so easily? He didn't believe in evil and rushed out again. Instantly moved to Luya, and punched Luya quickly. However, the extremely fast punch in the eyes of others was directly caught by Luya in the next instant. How did you do it? Buu was completely stunned. Why did he absorb the power of Gotenks, but became even weaker? Luya glanced at Buu, then smiled and said, "It's not easy. I haven't used all my strength." Saying that, he slammed his foot into Buu's stomach, and the latter was directly deformed like a sponge. It can be seen how terrifying the force it bears. Swish. Luya condensed an energy bomb in his hand, and suddenly it was a bombardment against Buu's stomach. Boom boom boom. The powerful force directly pierced several holes in Buu's stomach, which immediately made him uncomfortable. Luya frowned slightly, because he couldn't force him to spit out Gotenks by doing this. and he immediately lifted him out with an uppercut. At the same time, Luya rose directly into the sky, and immediately rushed in front of Boo, unleashing a series of critical strikes on him. Even if he absorbs Gotenks and superimposes his power, isn't that the boy's opponent? How is that possible? Piccolo said with cold sweat on his face, a little dreaded. The power of Majin Buu is obvious to all. It can be said that even if Goku casts Super Saiyan Tier 3, he can't deal with the opponent, but the opponent just relies on Super Saiyan Tier 2 to beat Buu for life. Taking care of himself, this contrast in strength made him doubt the origin of this young man. After a series of critical strikes, Luya slammed his fists down and slammed it to the ground, and suddenly a huge pit appeared on the ground. But Boo stood up and looked at Luya with gritted teeth, with anger and unhappiness in his eyes, as well as disbelief. Why can't his power beat the opponent? Luya looked down at Boo, and then his figure disappeared. Boo suddenly shot an air bomb to his side. Call out. Luya appeared, waved his hand directly, and immediately flew the attack, rushed in front of Boo, and launched a series of fist and foot attacks. Boo could only take it hastily, but his strength and physique made him not too embarrassed. His physique can be said to be infinite, as long as he does not completely kill, he can return to normal in a short time. Luya obviously knows this, so he doesn't want to give the other party any chance. Of course, his current state is enough to suppress his opponent, and he does not need to make the next transformation. Swish. During the sparring, Boo found a neutral position and punched Luya directly. But before the punch fell on Luya, it suddenly stopped. At the same time, a powerful force directly bombarded his stomach. The next second it returned to normal, Boo widened his eyes and stared at Luya incomprehensibly. Instead of a huge mouth pierced through his stomach, it was hollowed out, accompanied by severe pain. Luya looked at him and smiled. With your strength, you can't stop my flash. She. Boo was taken aback for a moment, then his face changed. Luya's eyes narrowed slightly, and the next moment he appeared directly in front of Boo. A gas bomb shot out directly, and the latter flew out with a scream. Luya teleported and appeared directly in front of Boo, grinning. What's wrong? The legendary demon Boo, is he so weak? Boo gritted his teeth and stared at Luya, but he didn't know that a piece of meat suddenly fell silently behind him. Luya smiled disdainfully, and stretched out his hand to the demon Boo. It's time to end. Majin Buu was not afraid at all. What's wrong? Can you do it? Gotenks is still inside me. Luya raised his eyebrows. So what? What? Boo was a little empty. He suspected that this guy might really be able to do it. Sure enough, just as he thought, a terrifying force began to condense in Luya's palm. Swish. The condensed power suddenly compresses, and the breath is still improving. Does that guy plan to destroy Gotenks together? Piccolo opened his mouth in disbelief. Boo also looked at Luya in disbelief. The other party wanted to destroy him and Gotenks together. Impossible. Isn't he afraid that the kid will die? Luya suddenly smiled. You underestimate me too much, Boo. Farewell. After he finished speaking, the energy in his hand shone directly. Ah, hey, Boo exclaimed, and then suddenly revealed a strange smile. Luya frowned, feeling a bad feeling in her heart. Be careful, Piccolo quickly reminded when he saw something suddenly. Luya turned back subconsciously, and a powder cloth bag came oncoming. Luya was directly wrapped and struggled violently. Hey, I succeeded, your power belongs to me. Boo looked at Luya proudly. He pretended everything just now. The purpose was to distract the opponent's attention, and now, he has achieved it. The dough that wrapped Luya suddenly condensed and flew towards Boo. The latter opened his mouth directly and swallowed it. Oops! Piccolo's face suddenly panicked. Wukong and the others in the realm of the King God realm also felt bad. Not good. Did they find Dragon Ball? It's too late if they don't resurrect. Goku gritted his teeth. Don't worry, we can only rely on them now. The Realm King sighed. Damn. Ellipsis. Ha. After absorbing Luya, Boo was in a good mood, his voice was like thunder, and he danced with excitement. Piccolo hid in the dark, a little desperate. This is over, and there is no one in the whole earth to deal with. Boo jumped, then exploded in vain, and a terrifying force erupted. Immediately, he stretched out his hand and continuously reflected energy bullets downward, and bursts of explosions sounded suddenly. The other party is going to make the whole earth unrecognizable. In the dark, Piccolo thought for a while, and then decided to retreat first. There was no way to do it. It would be better to wait for Wukong and the others to resurrect before trying to find a way. At this moment, Boo, who was destroying wantonly in the air, suddenly stopped his attack, and his entire body remained motionless. Seeing this scene, Piccolo was a little strange, and didn't understand what the other party meant. At this time, Boo's face became a little strange. He looked at his hand, a little surprised and puzzled. Because he found that he absorbed Luya, a powerful enemy, but he didn't seem to have the slightest bit of his power. How is this going? After thinking about it for a while, Boo fell down, and immediately began to explode, and the huge aura radiated directly, but no matter how he moved, this aura was only for him and Gotenks. Boo. Chapter 126-extra bonus. Regeneration ability. At the same time, a lump of powder suddenly fell from a place like a karst cave. After a long time, the powder ball suddenly wriggled, and then, the powder ball suddenly gradually melted, and golden rays of light radiated from the inside. After the dough was completely melted, Luya's figure appeared on the field. Looking at the surrounding scene, Luya smiled slightly. It seems to have come in smoothly. That's right. The reason why he was absorbed by Boo just now was all a play directed and acted by Luya himself, and he was absorbed by Boo on purpose. At the critical moment, the condensed energy bomb was converted into defense, and it was not refined by him. And his purpose was to enter Boo's body and rescue Trunks. Coincidentally, as soon as he came in, he saw Gotenks wrapped in a mass like a silkworm chrysalis, and Fat Boo was also beside him. Boo's body is a world of its own, and it seems that it needs to be destroyed with more powerful force. Luya looked around, then he looked in the direction of Gotenks, and then reached out and fired several energy bullets. Call out, call out, call out. Boom boom boom. Suddenly, several red lights shot out and directly collided with Luya's power, instantly offsetting Luya's attack. Huh. Luya was stunned, then looked aside. I saw a piece of flesh and blood suddenly wriggling, and then Boo's figure appeared. As expected, you are too cunning. Boo looked at Luya with a bloodthirsty smile. Luya smiled slightly. It's not slow to respond, but it's too late. Really? Then try it. This is my body. Anyone who comes in will have only one result. Boo laughed wildly. Really? Luya smiled, then burst into gas, and instantly turned into a Super Saiyan, his breath soaring. Boo grinned, and then suddenly, the pink flesh around Luya suddenly wriggled, and then they wriggled like snakes, biting towards Luya. Luya's body kept dodging, and then he rushed in the direction of Boo. Hey! Boo was not afraid at all, but instead showed a playful look. He let Luya punch him, but even Luya's strength was unloaded by Boo's flexible body. At the same time, the flesh on Boo's belly healed directly, wrapping Luya's body at the same time. Fist. What? Luya was surprised, and the attacks from all over had already hit him. With nowhere to escape, Luya was directly bombed and flew out immediately. Standing up again, Luya narrowed his eyes slightly. It's interesting. This guy is a lot stronger here than he is out there. Hey. Don't struggle anymore, just accompany them and become a part of me. Boo sneered. It's impossible. Luya smiled lightly. It's just to test you, don't take it seriously. After he finished speaking, his figure disappeared immediately. Boo snorted coldly, and then he suddenly summoned the power in his body, directly blocking the surrounding space, defending and attacking without dead ends, preventing Luya from succeeding. But all of this was in vain in front of Shem. I saw Luya appear directly in front of Gotenks. He didn't care about Boo, because it is very difficult to kill Boo here. You have to save people first, then weak the opponent's strength so he can deliver the fatal blow. Call out! Call out! 2 air bombs shot out, directly cutting off the meat that hung Gotenks and Fat Boo, and the two fell down, but at this time they had already lost consciousness. No! Suddenly, Boo roared suddenly. Luya's behavior undoubtedly made him angry. Without the power of Gotenks and Fat Boo, his power would be greatly diminished. And as Luya rescued the two, Boo's power suddenly weakened, and the condensed clone could no longer be maintained and melted directly. Let's go out now and see who has the most power. Luya smiled slightly, then started to take a stance, and suddenly burst out. Super Saiyan Tier 2. After reaching Super Match 2, his power continued to skyrocket. Ah! Suddenly Luya drank violently, and the power on his body began to expand infinitely. A powerful force directly destroys everything around. That is, destroying Boo's body. Under this power, Boo's expression suddenly changed greatly from the outside world, and his body was still bulging gradually, as if it was about to explode in the next moment. Impossible! Boo growled, his eyes split open. Seeing this anomaly, Piccolo was also stunned, and he immediately observed Boo's situation as he wanted to leave. Boo's body was still swelling, as if something terrifying had happened inside. In Boo's body, Luya is still bursting, and his hair is gradually growing out, moving towards Super Saiyan 3. Finally, Luya's power directly surpassed the second stage of Super Saiyan, and the majestic power poured out, directly breaking through the defenses built by Boo. Super Saiyan Tier 3. Ha! Luya shouted loudly, and his strength was directly raised by a grade. Outside, Boo's eyes suddenly widened, even his head began to swell, and the whole body was filled with Luya's power. Finally, Boo couldn't take it any longer, and a burst of white air spewed from his head, and then he spit it out. Call out! Immediately, several objects spit out from Boo's mouth and fell to the ground. Seeing this scene, Piccolo was instantly overjoyed, because it was Gotenks and Fat Boo who spat out. Of course, Luya also came out. He hovered and watched, looking at Boo, then grinned and slammed an energy bomb, instantly shooting down the degraded Boo. That's Super Saiyan Tier 3. He can also change. Piccolo finally knew why Boo was suddenly uncomfortable. It turned out that this guy further improved his strength and made Boo unbearable. At this time, Luya's strength soared, surrounded by CC lay arcs, his long golden hair reaching his waist, and his appearance was similar to Sun Wukong's Super 3. You guy, it's interesting to push me to this point, but it's all over. Luya grinned, and then he landed on the ground, suddenly began to gather energy, and then put his hands on his waist. Turtle, Pi, Chi, Gong. Swish. The power of terror is directly condensed. Eat me a full-strength turtle Qigong. Luya shouted angrily, and suddenly roared, and directly hit the super turtle Qigong. Boom. The terrifying power shot out directly, like a meteor impact. Boo's face changed greatly, revealing the color of fear, and he immediately condensed a huge energy ball and pushed it out. However, his strength has weakened and he has returned to the most primitive state. Although his strength is still very terrifying, he is not Luya's opponent in the Super 3 state. Gradually, Boo's energy ball was directly melted, and Luya's power was so powerful that he couldn't resist. Ah! Boo struggled, his face full of unwillingness. If it was his previous state, it would be impossible to be so embarrassed. However, Luya rescued both Gotenks and Fat Boo, causing his power to drop several grades at once. You guy can be considered immortal. It's a bit similar to my previous opponent, but you are a lot worse than him. You have killed so many people on Earth, go and apologize to them. Luya shouted in a deep voice. The next moment, he shouted angrily, and then he strengthened his Qigong and exploded. Ah! Boo's power was directly under Luya's attack, like the last straw that crushed the opponent, it was resolved directly. The full power output of Turtle Qigong fell directly on Boo. Regardless of your regenerative power, in front of absolute power, everything is a cloud. The body was washed away by the rays of light, and the destructive force was constantly being attacked. Boo couldn't resist, and screamed directly, and the whole body melted directly at this moment. But the difference is that under Luya's output, Boo couldn't survive and escape even a little bit of flesh and blood, and the whole body directly turned into a smoke and dissipated. I have to say that the turtle Qigong displayed by Luya is indeed very terrifying. While solving Boo, the force directly blasted out of the earth, and I don't know how many meteorites were destroyed before it gradually dissipated. Luya took a breath, and then he was relieved after realizing that Boo's breath really didn't exist. Turtle School Qigong, YYDS. Open black lens bracket drop. Congratulations to the host for defeating Majin Buu, the task is 3/5 completed. Open black lens bracket drop. Extra bonus for the regeneration ability of the host Majin Buu. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket drop. Reward the host to get rid of the disadvantages of the Super 3 form. Don't worry about the physical consumption of this form when the host turns into a Super 3. Close black lens bracket. Ellipsis. Chapter 127_shock. Goku's sassy operation. Welcome to the future king. The tricky Majin Buu was finally resolved, and this ending can be said to make everyone breathe a sigh of relief. Luya pondered slightly, feeling the rebirth skills brought to him by the system. He was already immortal once, and now he has Buu's regeneration ability. It can be said to be awesome. In fact, Majin Buu's power is not weak, and in the Dragon Ball Super universe, few people can kill him. You must know that Fat Buu is already approaching the power of Super Saiyan 3, but he has no resistance in the face of Thin Buu. This kind of strength gap is very obvious, even now Luya's power is already very strong. But dealing with Majin Buu requires a bit of seriousness. Is Buu weak? Who said that? Shaking his head, Luya glanced at Gotenks and Fat Buu who were still in a coma, then looked at Piccolo who was hiding in the dark, nodded to him, and then his figure turned into a white light and rose into the sky. Disappeared directly into the universe in the blink of an eye. He has to complete the task as soon as possible, otherwise, if he disappears for too long, he may arouse suspicion. At this time, in the realm of the king, Wukong and the others also breathed a sigh of relief. At this moment, Gohan suddenly stood up, and an extremely terrifying force erupted, completely different from before. God Rice was born. Finally successful. Very good. Now I'll go and deal with Majin Buu. Gohan said confidently, his current strength surprised even himself. You don't need to play anymore. At this time, the old realm king said indifferently. Why? Gohan didn't understand. Wukong suddenly smiled and said, because the demon Buu has been eliminated. What? Gohan was shocked, and then he felt Buu's power carefully, but unfortunately, the other party's chi has disappeared. What's going on? Gohan was a little puzzled. There's an amazing guy. That guy is so strong. Who is he? Wukong smiled, with a hint of excitement in his eyes. Immediately, Kaioshen told Gohan what happened. After the latter heard it, he felt a pity for a while. He originally thought he could use his new power to fight Buu, but now there is no chance. Pity. But the method used by that person to disappear in the end is very familiar. The old realm king suddenly looked at it, and there was an unusual light in his eyes. What the hell is he doing? Anyway, Buu has been eliminated. Now everything is settled. Wukong laughed heartily, not noticing anything at all. At the same time, he looked at Gohan and said, Hey Gohan. Don't leave in a hurry, and practice with me here. Oh good, Dad. Gohan nodded, but didn't refuse. Ellipsis. On the other hand, in the real world. Swish. On a certain planet, a rainbow light suddenly descended, revealing the bodies of Beerus, Whis and Goku. However, Beerus' face was a little gloomy at this time, and he didn't know who provoked him. Hey, are you back? Vegeta suddenly appeared in front of them and said hello. Ah Vegeta. Goku beckoned. I said you are still smiling. Beerus glanced at Wukong lightly, a little dissatisfied. What's wrong? It's not a big deal. Wukong said indifferently. Idiot. The whole universe was almost destroyed by you. He also said that it was no big deal. Do you want to be destroyed? Beerus suddenly jumped up angrily. Oops. Weiss shook his head helplessly. What's going on? Vegeta asked in confusion. Weiss explained. It's like this. Lord Quanwang already knows about the future, and has summoned the King of the Universe and the God of Destruction to attend the meeting, focusing on naming us Universe 7 and Universe 10. What? Vegeta immediately sweated when she heard this. How could that be? Then, what's the attitude of Lord Quanwang? Shook his head and said, although Zamasu has been eliminated, this crisis has been solved, but since he killed all the Kaiwang gods in that parallel time and space, he also caused the God of Destruction to disappear, so this, make Lord Quanwang a little angry, but the consequences, Lord Quanwang originally wanted to punish Universe 10. What about our 7th universe? Vegeta asked. Although Lord Quanwang said that only the 10th universe will be punished, our universes will be affected, especially our 7th universe. We travel through time and space at will. This time, the impact is not small. Beerus said solemnly. But fortunately, in the end, Wukong came to find it, and this made Quanwang stop. Weiss glanced at Wukong and smiled. Kakarot. Vegeta was a little confused. Can Kakarot persuade King Quan to intercede? How can that be? Haha, at that time, I also had a whim to go to him and ask when the Cosmic Martial Dao Conference would start. Who would have encountered this scene? So I begged Quan Dan not to punish them, but in exchange, I promised Quan Dan to introduce one if his friend gave it to him. He promised not to punish the universe. Wukong laughed. What do you mean, friends? Vegeta asked with a question mark on her face. HMPH. It's fine if it's true, but what Goku said about introducing a friend was just a casual statement. Isn't this offending Lord Quanwang? Beerus was angry when he mentioned this. Although he thanked Goku for saving the field before, but after leaving Lord Quanwang's place, under his pressure, Goku said it was a polite remark, and immediately made Beerus smoke. Hey Kakarot. You are so messed up. Vegeta complained in dissatisfaction. Wukong's starting point is good, but there are very few people who can be friends with Lord Quanwang. Because even masters and angels can only respect Lord Quanwang. Of course, except for Wukong, except for you. You are the only one who is interested in Lord Quanwang. Weiss said faintly. Wukong smiled, and immediately thought of something. His eyes suddenly lit up. That's right. Weiss, speaking of this, I thought of a suitable candidate. What? Beerus asked hurriedly, obviously anxious. Wukong snapped his fingers. That's the future Lord Quanwang. What? As soon as these words came out, both Beerus, Vegeta and Whis were shocked. Hey, are you kidding? Beerus' face was dripping with cold sweat. Huh? Could it be that the future Lord Quanwang was also killed by Zamasu? Goku asked curiously. How is that possible? You underestimate Lord Quanwang. Lord Quanwang stands above the gods, and no one can kill him. Beerus said angrily. Is that so? That's it. I'll ask Trunks for a time machine, and then bring back Ah Quan in the future. I'm sure he will like this friend very much. The more Wukong thought about it, the more feasible it was, and he used teleportation to disappear. Not see. Trunks and the others hadn't left yet. Originally, they planned to wait for the wind to pass, but who knew they were still discovered? Hey! You bastard! Beerus wanted to stop Goku, but Goku disappeared halfway through his words. Humph! This guy just likes to go his own way. Don't think about it, Vegeta complained. Do you really want the two kings to meet? Weiss asked suddenly. Beerus thought for a while, and then said with some fear, if Lord Quanwang is in a bad mood one day, will our universe still exist? Vegeta. But I have to say that the current situation can only be like this. After all, the water poured out of what you said can't be regretted, otherwise the consequences will be more serious. Weiss said slowly. Hey! What's this called? If I had known that I would take the risk and destroy that Black Goku, things wouldn't be so complicated. Beerus slumped down. Being the god of destruction, he is so tired. Ellipsis 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 ellipsis. In another time and space, Luya's figure appeared, and he was over a city at this time. However, the city at this time was very chaotic. There were bursts of explosions from time to time, and there were many powerful atmospheres in the city. Luya pondered slightly, and then came to a realization. These people should be the villains who were resurrected from hell. Hell should be in a mess now. All of this is thanks to Dr. Grow and Dr. Meow. Luya glanced around, and he suddenly discovered the fact that he couldn't feel the breath of artificial humans. Super number 17. P.S. The work has started, and there are fluctuations in the update. Work during the day and code at night. The update time remains unchanged, and you can code as many as you want. Please support. Chapter 128 _ The Strongest Android. Super 17 is born. Call out. Boom. In the city, a stream of light flashed, and a powerful explosion broke out in an instant, and the entire building collapsed immediately. Ah! People were running around for fear of being killed by a shell. Gia Gia Gia. Destruction feels good. Ha ha ha, I didn't expect to be resurrected, let's do it. A strange-looking alien stood on the top of a tall building and grinned, his palms constantly facing down release energy bombs, causing a series of explosions. Ah! Under an explosion, countless rubble and glass fragments fell, and below, a beautiful girl just fell down, looking helplessly and desperately at what fell. Done. She has to be pierced by thousands of rubble and glass until she dies. She doesn't accept this method of death. And just when the girl was about to be crushed to death, a light wave flew directly, instantly smashing the falling objects into pieces. At the same time, a figure appeared in front of the girl, picked her up directly, and disappeared in the blink of an eye. Oh, someone dared to save people under the eyes of the uncle. Are you impatient to live? The alien's face turned cold, then his body turned upside down, and he followed directly. It was Luya who came out to save people. He carried the girl to a safe area and put her down. Thank you. The girl looked at Luya gratefully. Luya smiled lightly, and then said, Run, it's too messy here. Yeah, thank you for saving your life. The girl nodded quickly, then hesitated for a while, and suddenly came up and kissed Luya on the face. After that, the girl ran away shyly. Compared to the saving grace, a kiss was insignificant to her. If it weren't for this sudden appearance of the young man, she might have died. Luya, who was kissed, was obviously the first time he had been in such close contact with a girl. He was dumbfounded, but in response, he quickly regained his composure. Call out. At this time, a powerful energy bomb attacked the girl directly. Luya's face turned cold, and he instantly appeared before the attack, directly smashing the power. What? It's interesting, you're still a bit of a jerk. A figure appeared in the field and looked at Luya with a sneer. Luya glanced at him, and then said lightly, You've really lost your face when you shoot at an ordinary person. Noticing that the girl had gone far, Luya had no scruples in his heart, and then he disappeared without saying a word. What? The alien was stunned. So fast. Swish. Bang. The next second, a fist was suddenly punched out of the alien's chest, and Luya appeared behind him at some point. No, impossible. The alien's eyes widened in disbelief, and then his body fell down softly. Luya sneered and said, The clown jumping beam. He is so arrogant without any strength, he needs to be beaten. Boom. 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 At this time, the sensation in the city suddenly became lively, and it seemed that someone came forward to stop it. Thinking about it a little, Luya knew that it was the Z warriors who stopped the enemies who were resurrected from hell. Now Luya has an idea. Since he can't find super number 17, he will follow Vegeta and the others. Anyway, they will face super number 17 at that time. Thinking of this, Luya moved, disappeared directly in place, and joined the lineup to solve these small soldiers. Boom. Although these enemies are said to be the enemies of the Earth Z warriors in various periods, at this time period, they are not the opponents of the Earth Z warriors at all, so their strength is not so strong, and they were easily solved by Luya. A big wave. But although they are not very powerful, the number is too terrifying. Especially the Frieza Legion, that number is like a locust crossing the border. Boom boom boom. After a few hours of fighting, Luya didn't know how many enemies he had solved. But this is not the solution after all. After all, there are too many resurrected enemies, and the source must be solved. I don't know how long it took. A powerful aura came from a distance, and for a while, all the martial Taoists looked in that direction. There, it seemed that some powerful existence was born. This power, it's so powerful. Trunks and Goten both stopped and looked towards the other side. At this time, the two were already young men, and their appearances had changed significantly. Hey, Trunks, Goten, go take a look there. Vegeta appeared at this time and greeted them. Oh, here it is. Let's go, Goten, Trunks responded quickly. Soon, several people rushed in the direction of that terrifying energy. When they felt Vegeta and the others' power, Gohan and Ubu in a certain corner of the city were aware of it. They thought about it and followed. Somewhere. Boom. With a muffled sound, a Frieza soldier suddenly fell to the ground, and the person who knocked him down was a little girl. Xiaofang, hurry up and hide. Don't hurt yourself. On the other side, a middle-aged big man shouted worriedly, and the fluffy discovery was quite happy. How can this be, Grandpa? I want to fight the enemy. Protect this city, Xiaofang said firmly. The girl is Xiaofang. At this time, she has grown up and her strength has become much stronger. Suddenly, Xiaofang noticed something strange. It's my father's anger. They're all going in the same direction. What's going on? Satan asked in confusion. It doesn't matter, let's go too. Xiaofang said indifferently, and immediately flew up after performing the air dance technique. Hey, wait for me, Xiaofang. Grandpa can't fly, Satan said quickly. It's really troublesome. Xiaofang complained angrily, but she could only grab her grandfather and fly out. On a high-rise building, Luya just saw this scene, and then smiled, all grown up. The storyline of this parallel time and space is different from that of Dragon Ball Super Space, so Luya is a bit complicated. Dragon Ball GT should be the correct line for Saiyan evolution. Dragon Ball Super is the line of gods, but there are 4 Super Saiyans who don't know this time and space. How powerful is it? Thinking of this, Luya glanced at the distance, then flew up and followed. Ellipsis. At the same time, in a certain corner of the city, a figure was suspended in the air, exuding a strong aura. Not far away, on the roof of the building, stood 2 old men. Their structures were a bit strange, and they looked like robots at first glance. Dr. Gross, Dr. Meow. These 2 old men are the culprits of this incident. And the figure in the air is number 17. Wrong. It should be a fusion of 2 number 17s. Super number 17. Ha ha ha. In the end, it was a success. This world will be ruled by us. Dr. Gro laughed, his face full of pride and excitement. After so many years of research, I finally created the ultimate android, the strongest who can fit together, Super 17. But it took a lot of work. Dr. Meow grinned, also a little excited. Then, let's get rid of the bed bugs that are in the way. Dr. Gro's eyes flashed, and then he looked at a few figures flying not far away. I haven't seen you for many years. Ha 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 ha. The air, Super number 17 crooked his neck, a little curious about his body at this time. Although he is fit now, it is the first time after all, and his body movements are somewhat unfamiliar. At this time, Vegeta and the others finally arrived. How is that possible? Number 17. Dr. Gro, it's you. Vegeta and Gohan were shocked when they saw each other. Vegeta, son Gohan, we meet again. I didn't expect your faces to be gone. What a pity. Humph, what tricks are you doing? Vegeta said coldly, but his attention was more focused on Super 17. This guy gives him a very dangerous feeling. How can it be? After so many years, his strength has far surpassed that of the year, and even Sharu can't win on number 17, why does he feel such absurdity? You came just in time. This is super number 17. Just let him come and meet you. No, I should use you to try my favorite work. The power of super number 17. Super 17. Super 17, solve them. The latter glanced at the button in Dr. Gro's hand, then smiled strangely, and then looked at Vegeta and the others. You guys, let's get on together. Chapter 129 _ The Mighty Super 17. Unmatched Warrior. What is arrogant? Vegeta's face turned cold. Looking at the appearance of Super 17, he suddenly became angry as if he had been insulted, and rushed towards the other party directly. Ha! Vegeta punched Super 17 with all his strength. But the latter easily blocked his attack. At the same time, Super number 17 suddenly smiled strangely, and then hit Vegeta with a heavy knee, giving Vegeta a critical blow. The latter vomited directly, and before he could recover, he was thrown out and smashed through buildings. Dad! Trunkston was startled and rushed up, but no matter how he hit his opponent, the latter did not fluctuate at all. Both Gohan and Goten brothers rushed out one after another. Super 17 seemed to be impatient, grabbed Trunks directly, and then punched him out. At the same time, the Gohan brothers had already rushed in front of Super 17 and were about to attack him. Sudden, Super number 17 let out a low drink and exploded, and a powerful black aura came out directly. Both Gohan and Goten were blown away by this powerful breath. I see, is this my power? Humph! Super number 17 suddenly laughed. Bastard! Vegeta rushed out from nowhere, bursting with gas at the same time, and the rays of light gathered in both hands. Sky Cannon! Ha! Vegeta slammed a cannonball and hit the Super number 17 directly. No, it should mean that the other party didn't mean to dodge at all. But Vegeta's attack went directly into Super number 17's body without spilling over. On the contrary, the latter's body suddenly swelled up a bit and then recovered. It's just that his power has also increased. Impossible. Vegeta's expression suddenly changed when he saw this scene. He was attacking with all his strength just now. How could his opponent be unscathed? Ha ha ha. No matter how strong your attack is, it's nothing more than nourishment for Super 17. Dr. Gro laughed proudly. This. Gohan and the others were also in disbelief. How to fight such an enemy? At this time, Super number 17 suddenly opened his arms and shouted violently. For a time, countless energy bombs suddenly erupted from his body. Each of these energy bombs was very powerful. Suddenly, the whole city was attacked. A series of bombings. Damn it. Gohan and the others changed their expressions. If they let the other party continue to mess around like this, the whole city would be over. Immediately, Gohan turned into a Super Saiyan directly, followed by Goten and Trunks. The three directly condensed their big moves, and two Turtle Chigung and a Sky Cannon shot out directly towards Super number 17. But to their surprise, the three attacks directly hit Super number 17, but after the flushing, the opponent had no impact at all. Instead, it sent a wave of supplies to the opponent. How could it be? Doesn't this work? Wu Tian said in an unacceptable way. He seems to be able to absorb energy, be careful. Vegeta said with an ugly face. Hee, since you have given a big gift, how can I not return the gift? Super number 17 said, and then a more intensive attack broke out. Not good. Gohan and the others hurriedly dodged, but such a dense attack was undoubtedly very difficult for them to dodge. They were directly hit, and everyone was bombarded by energy bombs and flew into the city. Even as powerful as EPUB, he was not spared. The difference in strength is too great. Under the bombardment, the whole city was in a mess, and it looked like a ruin. The living people mourn everywhere, and the people are struggling to live. Ha ha, it's really amazing, as expected of Super number 17. Dr. Meow smiled, a little scary. You two bastards, take it. Suddenly Xiaofang appeared behind the two of them and fired an energy bomb. What? The two were startled, but they were overwhelmed by the explosion. Xiaofang fell down, watching the explosion smoke vigilantly. The heir, Super 17 also noticed this scene, but he just smiled and didn't mean to intervene. After the smoke dissipated, Dr. Gro and Dr. Meow appeared in the field intact, and a protective shield appeared around them. How come? Xiaofang's pretty face suddenly changed, somewhat unexpected. Little girl, don't stay at home at such a young age, why do you come here to join in the fun? Dr. Gero looked at Xiaofang coldly, and then suddenly 6 red rays of light shot out in his eyes. Xiaofang was startled, and immediately ran away. Bump! But the next moment, Dr. Meow caught up with Xiaofang and directly knocked Xiaofang out. Xiaofang, Gohan, who had just struggled out of the waste heap, became terrified when he saw this scene, and rushed over to catch Xiaofang. But Xiaofang had already fainted. How? Gohan's heart was bleeding. Xiaofang, are you alright? Satan ran over like a broadcast, and saw Xiaofang fainted, and felt distressed for a while. Take care of Xiaofang, stay away from here. Gohan handed Xiaofang to Satan, his face cold and terrifying. Satan didn't dare to hesitate, and quickly picked up Xiaofang and ran away. Gohan looked at the two of Dr. Gero, his face turned cold, and he fired an energy cannon, which was so powerful that the expressions of the two changed greatly. Super 17, save me, Dr. Gru shouted, knowing that he couldn't stop the power. And number 17 also moved quickly, appearing directly in front of Dr. Gro, directly absorbing Gohan's power. Damn it, I can't spare you. Gohan gritted his teeth, then burst out violently, transformed into a Super Saiyan, his strength skyrocketed in vain, and rushed directly towards Super 17. But even if his strength has increased greatly, he is not an opponent of Super number 17, and he was beaten back in a few rounds. Boom boom boom. On the other side, Goten and Trunks were also full of firepower and stepped forward to help. EPUB was also unwilling to lag behind, and several people joined forces to directly besiege Super number 17, but they could not shake the opponent in the slightest. Vegeta also stood up at this time. He glanced at Super number 17, and then his face became cold in vain. This gap is too big, and it is not a great at all. I'm afraid that Guy Kakarot can't be the opponent's opponent here. However, his pride cannot be trampled on by anyone. Although his Vegeta is old, the sword is not old. Boom. An instant, Vegeta's power increased by a multiple, and he instantly transformed, rushing towards Super number 17. Da da da. Goten and Trunks teamed up to attack the Super number 17 in a row, but they couldn't shake the opponent in the slightest. Instead, the opponent shot and grabbed the fists of the two directly, and then slammed them, instantly throwing them into the air. Among the ruins. Ha! Ah! Ah! Vegeta rushed over at an extremely fast speed and threw a punch. Super number 17 chuckled, and immediately punched out the same punch, directly hitting Vegeta's fist. The power of the two rose directly to a terrifying level in an instant. But Vegeta is struggling. Humph! Super number 17 suddenly sneered, and then suddenly burst into air, and the air wave directly blew Vegeta away. At the same time, Super 17 reached out and aimed at Vegeta, condensing into a black energy ball. Call out. Boom. Under a burst of explosions, Vegeta screamed and retreated directly. Accept the move. Ah! EPUB rushed over with a roar, directly facing the Super number 17 and releasing a burst of energy bombs. But the latter did not refuse at all, and all of his brains would hit his own energy absorption. The body is also expanding at this time. Taking advantage of this gap, EPUB rushed directly in front of Super number 17, and launched a series of punches to him, punching to the flesh, and using all his strength to fight the enemy. But for Super 17, it's like tickling. Gollum. Finally, Super number 17 digested the energy, and the power increased greatly. He punched directly and quickly, and hit Ubu's stomach. The latter was directly punched and vomited blood, and the next second was kicked and flew out. Ha ha ha. If it succeeds, this will be the best fighter we have developed. Dr. Gru was immediately excited when he saw the unparalleled power of Super 17. Haha, wait until Super 17 solves everyone, so the whole Earth is ours. Dr. Meow also laughed. It's a pity you can't see it anymore. Suddenly, a faint voice sounded. Chapter 130-Fight. Lure vs Super 17 _. Hearing this voice, Dr. Gru and Dr. Meow were shocked, and quickly turned to look above them. I don't know when, Luya was suspended in the air and stretched out his palm to them. Impossible. When are you? Dr. Gross said in shock. Impossible. If it is a person with martial arts cultivation, they should not be able to escape their detection. Why can this guy quietly stay behind them for so long? Go to hell and ask Lord Yama. Luya grinned, and then he concentrated his strength and blasted towards the two of them. Ah no, Super number 17, hurry up and save us. Both Dr. Gero and Dr. Meow were shocked, their faces extremely frightened. Super number 17 heard the words, he rushed towards Dr. Gro and the others. Where are you going? Your opponent is here. Suddenly, Vegeta suddenly appeared in front of Super 17, blocking his way, and drank it, condensing a powerful force in vain. Ultimate Flash. With a roar, Vegeta directly launched a terrifying energy light wave. A terrible explosion directly blocked Super number 17. At the same time, with a burst of explosions, Dr. Gro and Dr. Meow disappeared in a burst of unwilling shouts. There is no scum left. One-hit kill. On the other side, in the smoke, Super 17 suddenly rushed out intact, and he appeared in front of Vegeta in an instant, so fast that even Vegeta couldn't react. What? Vegeta was startled and wanted to resist, but she was too much slower than her opponent. Bump. In an instant, Vegeta's stomach was hit hard, almost piercing his stomach. Ouch. Cough. Vegeta's eyes widened, and he spat out a mouthful of foam. He instantly lost his ability to transform, and fell softly to the ground. Dad. Uncle Vegeta. When Gohan and the others saw this, they rushed over in a hurry. But suddenly Super number 17 shot countless energy bombs directly, blasting them out. After doing all this, Super 17 looked at Luya. You killed them. Luya grinned. Killing is killing. 2 flies, don't you think it's an eyesore? Hearing this, Super number 17 suddenly smiled. Did you know that they hold a controller that can destroy me? You killed them, do you know the consequences? I know. Luya nodded and said lightly. You know. Now it was Super 17's turn to be surprised. Why? Without the controller, no one can stop me. Do you know that? Luya smiled, and then said, don't get me wrong, destroying the controller doesn't mean that you are invincible. There are many people who beat you. Sorry, I am one of them. Really? Have you seen these guys? Some people who think they are the strongest in the entire universe are still lying at my feet. Super number 17 sneered. But, Vegeta's face was ugly, but at this time he couldn't stand up, and he was seriously injured and uncomfortable. Luya fell in front of Super 17 and smiled. How strong are you? Super number 17 smiled. Want to know? I'll let you know. Change the place. Luya suggested suddenly, and then regardless of whether the opponent was willing or not, he flew up and left in the distance. Super number 17 glanced at the soldiers in the field, and then grinned. A group of ants, it's okay to wait for him to come back and solve it. Luya led Super 17 to a huge island and stopped just now. If you take me so far, if you can't satisfy me, then I'll be very unhappy. Super number 17 said lightly. Come on then. Luya grinned, and then suddenly burst into anger, and a powerful force burst out in an instant, directly transforming into a Super Saiyan. Seeing this scene, Super 17 was a little surprised. What? Are you a Saiyan too? Luya smiled evilly. Of course. It's interesting, it's more powerful than Vegeta, come on. Let me see. Super number 17 hooked his finger at Luya. Hey, Luya smiled, then stomped his feet, and rushed out like an arrow from the string. Swish. Luya's fist seems unpleasant, but it is flawless and full of power. Super 17 frowned, then dodged. Da 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 da. Luya's movements began to speed up, attacking Super number 17 with rhythm, but the latter dodged unhurriedly. Boom. Suddenly, Luya quickly punched and smashed into the stomach of Super 17. The opponent was directly hit by a punch. Straight into a mountain. Luya looked at the distance, and then kept hitting the air bombs. Under a series of bombardments, the whole mountain collapsed directly. But the next moment, Super number 17 feet's figure came out. He was not injured, his face was calm, and he looked at Luya. Is your strength only like this? Luya seems to have guessed this ending, and there is no accident, your body is really very resistant to beating. Friendly reminder, I can absorb energy, if you want to die quickly, just shoot at me. Super number 17 smiled lightly and said. You don't need to remind me. Luya grinned, then burst into a rage, and transformed into a second-tier Super Saiyan again. Boom. This time, when Luya directly urged the flash, the space suddenly stopped. Super 17 feet's movements are also still, but his consciousness is still. What's going on? Bang. Luya has come to Super number 17 and punched hard. The power of this punch is heavier than the punch just now. Ouch. Super number 17 also had to cry out in pain. Immediately, Luya exerted his strength and directly sent the opponent flying out. The next moment Luya cast teleportation and appeared behind Super number 17, kicked out. Immediately knock it out. Beat Super number 17 back and forth. In the end, Luya took a heavy punch and hit it directly into the ground. Ground cracked directly, and Super number 17 feet's body was embedded in the ground, very tragic. But with such a tragic attack, Super number 17 didn't feel much, and he even showed a smile, as if Luya's attack just tickled him. Luya frowned, he knew that the other party was an artificial man, and he was a little more resistant to beatings than ordinary enemies, but the other party was obviously not exerting any force at all. Super number 17 sat up and looked at Luya. Being able to manipulate time and teleport, your powers should be above Sun Wukong. Luya shook his head. Correct me, my power surpasses everyone. Hee hee, shameless. Super number 17 stood up, then laughed. I've seen through your moves. It turns out that you were testing me just now. Luya nodded, no surprise. Although your speed is fast, your strength is not strong enough to hurt me at all. Compared to Vegeta and the others, you are just a slightly bigger grasshopper. Super number 17 sneered. Really, I want to see the face you were defeated by the grasshopper. After Luya finished speaking, he instantly cast teleportation and disappeared. But this time, Super number 17 has taken precautions, and immediately shot an energy bomb at a place. The next moment Luya's figure appeared, his face condensed, and he directly fired an energy bomb to cancel it. Boom. Under the huge explosion, Luya's figure disappeared again. Swish. But Super number 17 seems to be able to predict Luya's movements, and kicks directly to his side. Bang. Woohoo. Luya quickly blocked with his hands, but he was still knocked out. Super number 17 appeared in front of Luya in the next second, directly buckled Luya's face, wiped the ground and slid out. Immediately, Super number 17 gave a low drink and threw Luya out. The strength of the road directly made Luya smash through several mountains in a row, and finally fell into the sea. Super 17 appeared above the sea, looking down with a grim expression. Luya obviously underestimated him. You must know that the original Monkey King turned into Super 4, and he was also defeated by him. Although there is Wukong's sloppy nature, the strength of Super 17 is still unquestionable. Boom boom boom. Suddenly, a huge commotion sounded, and then, a red radiance rose into the sky, and a wave of water appeared in the water like a hemisphere. The next second, a figure broke out of the water, standing on top of the water waves, a red body. The power surrounds the body and has a divine taste. Super Saiyan God. Appear. P.S. Ask for a reward. Chapter 131-Super Saiyan Red vs Super 17. Seeing Luya's unique form, Super 17 was stunned. Who are you? Luya said lightly, this is the god of Super Saiyans. Super Saiyan God. What is it? Super 17's face suddenly became cold. No matter what you become, the result is the same. Really? Luya smiled weirdly, and then he appeared in front of Super number 17 in the next moment, and a kick of the knee directly flew Super number 17. The latter directly smashed the tops of the mountains and smashed them into one of them. Luya paused, then instantly disappeared. Boom. A powerful breath came out, and then, the figure of Super number 17 rushed into the sky. And his figure has not stopped. Suddenly Luya has come to him, and then another punch. Boom. This punch can be said to be fierce, and the blood of Super number 17 is splashed out. But Luya knows that this is not blood, this is oil. Figure slowly stopped. Super number 17 wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth, and then looked at Luya. The strength has become a lot stronger. Luya grinned. I'm sorry, did I surprise you? Super number 17 slowly stretched out his hand towards Luya, and then, a terrifying black energy bomb condensed in his hand and hit Luya directly. Luya sneered, and then he directly gathered his strength, and also played the turtle-style qigong. The two forces collided directly, instantly caused a strong explosion. After the explosion, the two did not move in place, but looked at each other closely. What's wrong? That's all your power. Luya looked at Super 17 and grinned. Super number 17 looked at Luya indifferently and did not speak. You can absorb energy, but your own strength is not very good. Although it is very strong, it is not difficult to defeat you. Luya suddenly shouted, and then he slammed lowly. The red arrogance was directly activated, exuding the ultimate power. A few seconds later, with Luya's drink, he turned into Super Saiyan Red. What? Super number 17 looked at Luya in shock. He didn't expect this guy to transform so many times, and he was stronger than ever. Although he can't feel Luya's breath now, he can sense the extreme danger of the other party. After Luya turned into Super Saiyan Red, he looked at Super number 17. Next, teach you to be a man. No shame. Super number 17 snorted coldly, and then charged directly towards Luya. Da 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 da. A series of collision sounds fell, and Super 17 launched a series of fierce attacks on Luya. Suddenly playing Luya can only be passive defense. With a punch, the Super number 17 is a kick. Snapped. But at this time, Luya actually grabbed the foot of Super number 17 directly. What? The latter was directly shocked. Luya grinned. What's the matter? Is your strength at this level? Without energy absorption to strengthen yourself, you are also a little disappointing to me. Such words are simply insulting to Super number 17, and he immediately shot an air bomb directly at Luya with both hands. But Luya dodged easily, then slammed the opponent, and at the same time Luya slipped under the opponent, kicked his feet up, and immediately kicked the opponent to the sky. Boom. Shish. Luya burst out and rushed out, instantly surpassing the size of Super number 17, and punched him fiercely. Boom. The latter fell directly, and there was a loud bang on the ground, and a huge deep pit appeared directly. Luya slowly fell to the sky above Super number 17. What's wrong? Can you keep up with such power? Super number 17 stood up embarrassedly, looked at Luya, and then narrowed his eyes slightly. You are very fast in this form, but your attack does not have much effect on me, because I am artificial people. For pain, negligible. Luya grinned. Really? As soon as the words fell, Luya flashed in front of Super number 17. The latter reacted and was about to retreat, but Luya was faster than him. A fierce punch is to directly blast it out. In the next second, time suddenly stopped, and Luya Meng punched Super number 17 in the air. A red fist flew out and immediately hit Super number 17. The latter vomited blood and fell directly when the flow resumed. How is that possible? Super number 17 looked in disbelief. He didn't expect that he would have no power to fight back. Luya flashed in front of him and said lightly, "Don't you feel pain? It's interesting, then let me see, where is your limit?" Suddenly, Super number 17 shot directly with a cannonball. The latter just disappeared. And Super number 17 seemed to expect Luya's next move, and immediately shot a few shells in one direction. Boom! 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 Suddenly, an explosion appeared, and Luya's figure was wrapped in red light and rushed towards the other party. Super number 17 gritted his teeth and greeted him directly. Touch! The fists clashed fiercely, and finally, the two started a high-speed scuffle. On the other hand, Vegeta and the others all struggled to stand up. Through the recovery of time, they gradually gained physical strength. "What about that guy Super 17? Vegeta asked gloomily. "Dad, are you okay?" Trunks, Goten and the others rushed over and asked quickly. Vegeta's face was gloomy and uncertain. "Do you know that guy who suddenly appeared?" Gohan and the others shook their heads. Hey, Vegeta was a little unhappy, but when he thought of something, he frowned directly. "What is that guy Kakarot doing?" Boom, boom, boom. Suddenly, at this moment, a series of explosions hit from a distance. "It seems that Super number 17 has met that boy," Gohan said complicatedly, looking into the distance. "How is that possible? Super number 17 feet's power is so terrifying, how could anyone except Uncle Wukong deal with him that way?" EPUB was also shocked. "But this kind of confrontation can only be thought of like this, right?" Wu Tian said solemnly. Vegeta's face turned cold, and she was about to go over to watch the battle, but at a critical moment, the old injury relapsed and she fell to her knees directly. "Dad." Trunks' expression changed, and he quickly helped Vegeta. "Damn, besides Kakarot, there are people who are better than me," Vegeta said indifferently with Trunks' support. Except for the 4th-tier Super Saiyan, he thought he had no opponents, but he didn't expect such a guy to appear. "Who is the opponent?" ... Boom, boom, boom. Lure and Super number 17 are like watching two fighter jets constantly firing gas bombs at each other. The scene is spectacular. But Super number 17 could have easily avoided Luya's air bomb attacks, but he was always able to hit those attacks directly, making him stronger. And Luya also discovered this, and then he gave a low drink, and the speed of time skyrocketed. Instantly rushed to Super 17. The latter's face turned cold, and he shot a terrifying energy bomb directly at the opponent. Luya roared directly, his body directly penetrated the opponent's energy bomb, and smashed his opponent's face with a punch. In an instant, Super number 17 flew upside down. Luya suddenly burst into gas, and played the prince's tactics frantically, and countless gas bombs fell madly towards Super number 17. Before he could react, Super number 17 was directly bombed, but he suddenly opened the protective cover and got a chance to breathe, and then he suddenly sneered, "Remove the protective cover, and let those gas bombs bombard him." And he is constantly absorbing those energy bombs and turning them into his own strength. Super number 17 is constantly expanding and contracting, so repeatedly, his strength is getting stronger and stronger. However, Luya didn't stop his hand at all, and he kept attacking with air bombs as if he didn't want money. "Ha ha ha, stupid Saiyan, do you think your power can overwhelm me? It's so naive." Super 17 naturally saw Luya's intention, and the other party just wanted to let him be affected by his own power. It was a blast, but he felt that the other party underestimated him too much. Although the strength of the opponent is very strong, it is within the scope of his own tolerance. Soon, the power of Super number 17 gradually reached an extremely terrifying level. Chapter 132_Goku is back. Learn from each other. Super 4 vs Super Race Red. Idiot, don't you have a brain? It took me so much energy to absorb it. Super number 17 taunted him while absorbing the energy bullet fired by Luya. Luya turned a deaf ear, and after firing several energy bombs, he suddenly burst into gas. Jia Wong Fist. Boom. At this moment, Luya's power is directly uplifted. What? How could it be? Super number 17 had a bad premonition, but the power in his body was extremely abundant, and it was impossible to digest it in a short time. Your strength is that you can absorb the power of others. But this is also your weakness. When you absorb powerful power, you can't digest it too fast. And when you digest energy, you can't move. And this is also a fatal weakness. Because for a master, even just a few seconds, it can turn the tide of the battle. Luya said lightly, and while speaking, he had already condensed a super powerful turtle Qigong. Sun Wukong can almost burst the opponent with 10 times the turtle Qigong, so his Luya's power can also surpass Wukong's 10 times the turtle Qigong. Turtle, Pai, Qi, Gong. Kaiwang Fist and the turtle Qigong displayed by Super Saiyan Red, even Zamasu's immortal body can't stop it. Super number 17, how could it be blocked? Ha ah ah ah. Luya pushed forward fiercely, and in an instant, a terrifying force shot out directly. Direct bombardment to Super 17. Impossible. Damn. Super number 17 growled, and in an instant, his body was directly washed away by the turtle school Qigong. And Super 17 can only forcefully absorb the power of turtle school Qigong, because if he doesn't absorb it, this energy is enough to destroy him. But as soon as I absorbed Super number 17, I regretted it, because the turtle-style Qigong played by the opponent was so powerful that people were afraid of it. Ah! Super number 17 feet's body is getting more and more inflated, and the next moment, his body is like a ball. Clothes are directly torn. Finally, with a roaring scream, the figure of Super number 17 exploded directly. In an instant, the area within a radius of several miles was directly affected. Several islands were directly destroyed and clean. Even Vegeta and others in the city felt a powerful force coming, and they cast their energy to form a huge protective shield. How could it be? How could such a thing happen? Vegeta looked shocked, unable to believe what happened over there. I don't know how long it took. The field gradually returned to calm, and the battlefield was filled with a cloud of white fog, making it difficult for the outside world to see the situation inside. Luya was suspended in the sky, withdrew the king's fist, and looked at the empty sea below. Super number 17 directly destroyed the surroundings to the fullest. Open black lens bracket drop. Congratulations to the host for defeating Super 17. Mission completion 4/5. Host please make persistent efforts. Close black lens bracket. Luya breathed a sigh of relief and was about to leave. Wait. Suddenly, a voice stopped him. When Luya heard the voice, she was stunned for a moment, then turned to look. I saw Wukong, who was only a child, hovering opposite him, with an inexplicable smile on his face. What's the matter? Luya asked calmly. That, Super 17 was beaten by you, right? Goku asked with a grin. Luya nodded. I did it. It's amazing. How did you do it? And you're a Saiyan, right? You have a tail like me. Goku revealed a hint of doubt. Yes, I am indeed a Saiyan. Luya smiled and said. That's great. Well, you have a tail, and you defeated Super number 17. Shouldn't you also be able to transform into Super Saiyan IV? Goku suddenly said excitedly. Mouth twitched slightly. I'm sorry, I can't change. He wants to change too. But strength doesn't allow it. Is that so? Then how did you beat Super 17? Goku wondered. He just arrived and saw the chaos in the field, and only this young man was here, which surprised him very much. How to defeat? Luya pondered for a while, then suddenly burst into gas, and directly transformed into Super Saiyan Red. That's how it was defeated. What is this? A new form. Goku was surprised when he saw the Super Saiyan Red, and touched Luyadong. Luya said proudly, of course, this is very powerful, no worse than your Super Saiyan. Really? Then can you fight me? Wukong said suddenly. Luya was stunned for a moment, and then he understood that the character of the other party was like this. He was about to speak, and suddenly, Wukong shouted, instantly boosting his power to the extreme, and then, he directly transformed into Super Saiyan IV. The whole body exudes a terrifying breath. Luya's eyes narrowed, and he was very shocked by Wukong's sudden transformation, because the opponent's power was actually very powerful. Super Saiyan 4, is it that powerful? It's Dad's anger. He's back. On the other side, Gohan and the others all looked in that direction with surprised expressions on their faces. This is the power of Super Saiyan 4. Could it be that Super 17 is still alive? Vegeta frowned and asked in confusion. ... The air, Goku looked at Luya with a smile. How is it? This is the power of Super Saiyan 4. Yes, it's really amazing. Luya couldn't help giving a thumbs up. By the way, I can't feel your chi, your form is a bit special. Wukong asked curiously. Luya said, this is what I realized by accident, and others can't feel its chi. That's it, don't care about that, let's fight with me. Wukong invited. I also want to try it out, how powerful it is to be able to defeat such a strong super number 17. Luya also aroused a sense of fighting, and then nodded. I just want to see the power of Super Saiyan 4. Hee hee. Wukong smiled, then stepped back a little and took a pose. Luya was also in vain, and in the next moment, he disappeared directly. Wukong's pupils shrank, and then he suddenly raised his hand to block. Bump. Wow. Luya flashed directly in front of Wukong and knocked him down with a punch. At the same time, Luya slammed into countless air bombs, and lost them all at once. Boom boom boom. Under a series of explosions, Wukong's howl came from inside. Luya stopped and looked calmly at the gradually dissipating smoke. The smoke dissipated, and Wukong's figure was revealed, but he had nothing to do. He put down his hands covering his face and looked at Luya. Okay, I didn't expect you to be so powerful. Luya looked at Wukong. Are you testing? He knew that Wukong must be testing, because this is the other party's habitual fault, and he will never contribute when he makes a move. Wukong smiled and then said, I just want to see your strength, and then decide whether to use all your strength, because Super Saiyan IV, the strength is too strong, I'm afraid you can't stand it. Luya smiled. You are very confident. Wukong took a stance. It's my turn next. After he finished speaking, he rushed straight up. Luya didn't underestimate the other party in the slightest, but also rushed directly to the other party. Immediately, the two fought fiercely together. The speed of the two was equal, and the high-intensity confrontation continued from bottom to top. Bump. The two punched each other, then looked at each other, separated from each other, and started their posture at the same time. Turtle School Qigong. The two faced the wave directly, and a huge explosion swept away, filled with smoke. You can also use Turtle Qigong. Wukong looked at Luya in shock. Luya smiled and said, yes. It's interesting. Wukong laughed, and then he burst into anger, and in an instant, a powerful burst of chi burst out, and Wukong's power has been upgraded to a new level. Not yet at full strength. Luya was slightly silent. He knew that the other party didn't use all his strength. After all, he was just learning from each other. Of course, Luya didn't use all his strength. Because it is not necessary. Come again. Wukong burst out with a terrifying force, once again condensing the Turtle School Qigong. Not to be outdone, Luya also gathered strength. Ha 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 ha. The two of them made moves at the same time, and the two huge waves of light collided, and a terrifying explosion erupted suddenly. Chapter 133_Accident. The Coming of the Power Assembly. Boom. Under the huge critical strike, the entire sea surface was divided into two halves at a speed visible to the naked eye, and the waves were turbulent. Under the confrontation, Luya and Super 4 Wukong both landed slowly and did not fight anymore. I didn't expect that there is a Saiyan in a form that is not weaker than Super Saiyan IV. Goku exclaimed. Luya also said faintly, I didn't expect Super Saiyan 4 to be so powerful, underestimate it. After fighting with the opponent, He had a concept of the strength of Super Saiyan 4. It has to be said that the strength of the person who can transform into Super Saiyan 4 is many, many times higher than the original, even if it is compared to his Super Saiyan 4. Saiyan Red is not much inferior. And Super Saiyan 4 also has its own advantages. It can be said that each has its own characteristics. At this point, Luya put away his anger, returned to normal, looked at Sun Wukong and said, "Just come here." Yeah. Wukong nodded, and he probably knew the depth of the opponent, so it was meaningless to fight again. Back to normal, Goku regained his childlike appearance. Luya pondered slightly, and then said, "You look like this, your strength has dropped a lot." Wukong said helplessly, "No way, it's not my will to become like this, it's purely an accident." If it hadn't gotten smaller, his power would have changed back to this level. Of course, suddenly the Super Saiyan Queen will be much stronger than it is now, so I can only blame Pilaf and the others for making Goku's body so small. But Luya didn't say much, but glanced at the scene in the field, and then said to Wukong, "Okay, the trouble here has been solved, I should leave, I am very happy to be able to fight with you." Hearing this, Wukong hesitated. He wanted to keep Luya, but there was no reason. The other party was so strong. If he could practice regularly with him, it would have a multiplier effect on his skill. "By the way, what's your name?" Wukong suddenly asked. Just as Luya was about to leave, he grinned when he heard the other party's question. "Luya. My name is Luya, Saiyan Luya. Goodbye." Swish. In the next second, Luya turned into a streamer and disappeared. Saiyan Luya. Wukong looked at Luya's disappearance, a little confused. On the other hand, the real world. Swish. A streamer came directly to the earth, and then Luya's figure appeared in the field. Seeing the familiar situation in the field, Luya was taken aback. "Wait for the system, isn't there another mission that has not been completed?" "System? Host, the angels of this universe are looking for you, so I can only let you come back first." "Angel? Weiss? What is he doing with me?" Luya asked suspiciously. "Unknown. The host has 9 hours and 42 minutes until the end of the mission. The host can complete the mission within this time limit." The system improved. Hearing this, Luya could only nod helplessly. Did he think that the direct one-stop service would be over? Also delay for a while. Don't blame the host. The time flow rate of the host's use of time-space shuttle is different from the universe here, so if you travel through time and space like this for a long time, it will cause more gods to notice. Even this system can't cover it up for long, the host must be careful. The system suddenly prompted. Hearing this, Luya nodded. "I understand." Luya just spoke. At this moment, Wukong's figure appeared in the field. It was Wukong in the real world. "Yo, Luya, are you back?" Wukong laughed when he saw Luya coming back. "I'm back, what can I do for you?" Luya asked suspiciously. Wukong laughed, looking a little excited. "That's right, Lord Quanwang has already agreed to hold a power conference, and 12 universes will participate, but the premise is that each universe must have 10 warriors, so I'll think about it. Ask you, are you interested in participating?" Quote. He has seen Luya's strength. After the battle with Zama's, Luya's strength has been showing a trend of obvious improvement, so for Wukong, if you want to win this power conference, Luya is absolutely essential. After listening to Wukong's words, Luya was surprised. The power conference. Is it about to start? He was a little shocked. Logically speaking, it shouldn't be so fast, right? Host, your ability to travel through time and space is not perfectly controlled, so it causes slight turbulence in time and space when traveling through time and space, so there will be differences in time. The system actively explained. Hearing this, Luya understood. Wukong explained. It's like this, the power conference, this was notified by the great priest in person, so, Luya, you should also participate. Luya thought for a moment, and then said, I'm afraid it's not that simple, right? It's just as simple as holding a power conference. Hearing this, Wukong's face froze, and then he smiled awkwardly. Haha, Luya, you are so clever, you actually saw it. Luya sighed in his heart, as he thought, the purpose of holding a power conference is nothing more than involving the survival of the entire universe. And Wukong also said the same. King Quan decided to destroy the universe through the power conference, which Wukong himself did not think of, because he originally just wanted to communicate with the masters of various universes, but he didn't expect to learn that a bad news. After listening, Luya pretended to be surprised. That means, if you lose, the entire universe will be destroyed. Wukong's face became serious. He nodded seriously, yes. Luya smiled slightly. It's interesting. Okay, in this way, I will occupy a place. Great. Luya, let me tell you, the masters of other universes are really powerful. I have played against masters from the 9th universe and the 11th universe before. Their strength is very powerful. And this is only 2 warriors in this universe, maybe there are even more powerful characters in other universes. Wukong said excitedly. Luya sighed in his heart, of course there is, just 1 jillion makes everyone despair, let alone your Monkey King. And this guy is not worried about the safety of the 7th universe, just for those masters. If Beerus hears this, I don't know how to feel. I have some interest, maybe in the power conference. I can break through to a higher level. Luya said slowly. That's right. We must win. Of course, with Luya's help, our odds of winning have been greatly improved. Wukong smiled and said. Luya nodded, but he was a little weird. He occupied the original spot, so who was squeezed out by him? Krillin, Tianjin Rice, or Teacher Wu Tian. I have to say that only these 2 bald heads are weaker in this camp. Of course, they are not particularly weak. For example, Teacher Wu Tian, his strength is still very high. Before he could think about it, Wukong smiled and said, okay, since I found you, then you should be considered for the quota. You can go to Bulma's house and wait, and I will look for others. Luya nodded. See you later. See you back. Wukong beckoned, and then he cast teleportation and disappeared. Luya thought for a while, and then decided to go to Bulma's house to have a look. Swish. Using teleportation, Luya soon appeared at Bulma's house, where he met Vegeta, Beerus, and Whis. Hello, Sir Beerus, Mr. Weiss. Luya greeted actively. Beerus glanced at Luya and asked, did Goku find you? Luya nodded. Yes, I already know about the power conference. Beerus nodded, glanced at Luya, and then was somewhat satisfied. It seems that your strength has improved a lot. Thank you for your help, otherwise I won't be able to break through the limit and gain room for improvement. Luya said modestly. Beerus nodded lightly. Then it's hard for you to take a trip, participate in the power conference, and perform well. Don't worry, I will do my best for the destiny of the 7th universe. Luya said with a smile. Hearing this, Beerus was shocked, and then he looked at Luya. You know all about it. Luya nodded. I see. Beerus' mouth twitched slightly. That guy Goku, is his mouth so lax? If he leaked to everyone the fact that he would be destroyed if he lost, wouldn't that just add pressure to everyone? P.S. I've been very busy recently, and I have to make time to code at night. I don't sleep until midnight, and I have to get up again in the morning, so I can't stand it anymore, and the updates will be reduced, so I can keep it for the first time. Chapter 134 _ The Return of the God Meal. Speaking of Luya, you have disappeared for so long during this time, can you tell me where you went? Suddenly Weiss opened his mouth, looked at Luya, and asked. Luya was shocked, and immediately understood that the other party knew that he was not there. The corners of his mouth twitched. The Luya Dark Channel system is unreliable. System. About it, Luya smiled slightly. I'm going to practice. Weiss looked at Luya, but didn't speak for a long time. In the end, he nodded, but said in a warning tone, cultivation is a good thing, but be careful. Things are a little complicated recently, you just need to be more restrained. Luya heard the words and understood that the other party was going down the steps for him, and nodded quickly, understand. Weiss didn't say much. Hello. What's the matter? What are you talking about? Or what did you say, Luya? Beerus narrowed his eyes curiously. He didn't care about some trivial matters, and let Weiss manage it, so Beerus still didn't feel the matter of Luya's travel through time and space. Luya said embarrassedly, "It's nothing, it's just that there were some mistakes in the practice." Hearing this, Beerus said indifferently, "This is impossible, you represent the seventh universe to fight. If you lose easily, you will know the consequences." After all, he still cares more about the survival of the seventh universe. After all, if he loses, even if he is a god of destruction stronger than him, he will be wiped out. Thinking about it is exciting. Luya nodded. "I understand." Weiss glanced at the two of them and said nothing. At this time, Bulma and Vegeta came over, along with two little ghosts. "Ah, Luya, you're here too. I haven't seen you for so long, and you've become a lot more handsome." Bulma greeted Luya when she saw him. "Luya." Vegeta. For a while, Luya seemed to be able to notice Vegeta's cold gaze without even looking. Worth in my heart, what Bulma said, if Vegeta hated him, wouldn't he be in trouble? Big brother Luya. Trunks and Goten also greeted each other. Luya nodded to them. "Hello. By the way, what about Trunks? I'm talking about the future, have you already left?" Luya asked suddenly, thinking of something. Bulma nodded. "I have already left. I have stored enough fuel for them to take. The Earth in the future world no longer exists, so they went to a place where they can live, but I don't know where it is." Got it. Hearing this, Luya nodded, no surprise. "Okay, I happen to have prepared some food, let's eat together." Bulma laughed. Hearing this, Beerus and Whis reacted, and the former quickly said, "Very well, you know each other." "Ho ho, every time I come, I have the food prepared by Miss Bulma, thank you very much," Weiss said with a smile. Bulma waved his hand proudly. "This is nothing, as long as Mr. Weiss takes more care of the Earth, there will be as much food as you want." "Oh, why is this so embarrassing?" Weiss smiled. "Okay, stop talking nonsense, where's the food? I'm just hungry." Beerus walked in the direction Bulma came from. Luya glanced at Vegeta, who also looked at him, and Luya nodded slightly, without rejecting the kindness. In the middle of the chat, Luya knew that there were still 5 days before the start of the power conference, so after eating dessert, he left. In 5 days, a lot of strength can be improved. Of course, although he said that he could use these 5 days to complete the final task, he felt that it would be fine. After all, it would be bad if the time and space were distorted again. Maybe the power conference would have ended when he came back. Of course, he is not sure to complete the task within 5 days, because according to the plot line, his last enemy is the super boss of Dragon Ball GT, Yi Xinglong. This guy's strength is far more than 4, especially when he absorbs all the power of the 7 Dragon Balls. If he wants to defeat him, Luya needs to be even stronger. Just as Luya was practicing, Wukong was also running around, looking for a partner to fight in the 7th universe. Piccolo, Gohan, number 18, Keelan, Teacher Wu Tien, Boo, number 17. Wukong found these people, just enough for 10 people, suddenly remembered that there was another Tianjin Rice, and Wukong stopped by to visit him. Tianjin Fan said that he wanted to pursue his own path of martial arts, so he didn't have any passion for the power conference. After all, with his current strength, it would be unpleasant to say that he could not compete with Wukong and the others at all. He was still aware of this. After saying goodbye to Tianjin Fan, Wukong found Gohan and others on an island. At this time, Gohan and Piccolo were practicing, and Gohan was also under Piccolo's training, and the silent power in his body gradually recovered. Goku and Piccolo have not forgotten that when the powerful enemy of Majin Buu appeared, Gohan's potential developed by the old king of the world eventually became a god-level combat power, and his strength surpassed that of Buu. But since the elimination of Buu, Gohan's power has been blocked, and he has no desire to awaken it. Of course, it's not that Gohan doesn't want to awaken, but that he has lost his martial arts after so many years. direction. However, when he saw that the training in Piccolo came, and the old Gohan slowly returned, Wukong was still very excited. At this moment, he suddenly felt a little emotional. Gohan's strength is so strong, he should have helped him wake up, so that he doesn't have to look for opponents everywhere. Boom boom boom. Ah! With a cry, a terrifying white light shot up into the sky, and then, a powerful aura swept out directly, and the entire island trembled at this moment, and countless rocks crumbled and floated, as if being pulled by that power. It's so strong. Wukong sighed when he saw the power of Gohan. Humph! The original Gohan is finally back. Piccolo is undoubtedly the most gratified. No matter how he treats Gohan as his own son, he is very satisfied that the other party can reach such a height in a short period of time. With such a strong lineup, our universe has a great chance of winning. Wukong couldn't help but say. Piccolo glanced at Wukong, and then said meaningfully, "Old son, you should be hiding something from me, right?" Wukong was taken aback. What? Piccolo slowly closed his eyes and said confidently, "I know you very well, you can't hide anything you have." Hearing this, Wukong was a little troubled. Why is this? Even Piccolo can see it. As expected of you, Piccolo. So? Piccolo looked at Goku. Wukong was helpless and could not hide it any longer, so he told the truth. "If you lose, you will disappear." Seriously. After hearing Wukong's words, Piccolo's face turned green, somewhat unexpected. Wukong nodded. So, this power meeting is very important. Hearing this, Piccolo was silent for a while, and after a long time, he sighed. I understand. Then we can only win. Ah, I think so too. Besides, the strength of our seventh universe is so strong, it's hard to lose. Wukong smiled confidently. Who gave you confidence? Piccolo said speechlessly. The masters of other universes are naturally not weak, so don't take it lightly, Lao Sun. This conference is about the survival of our seventh universe, so you have to be careful. Wukong said perfunctorily. I see. Piccolo. Dad. At this moment, Gohan suddenly fell down and looked at Wukong. Ah, congratulations on realizing Gohan and regaining your former heroic appearance. Goku looked at Gohan with relief. Gohan nodded. After Trunks left, he began to ask Uncle Piccolo to guide him in his practice. Although he said that the progress in the past was quite significant, he still failed to inspire the strength of the year, but looking at it now, come on, he did it. Shenfen is back in the arena again. For Gohan, who can hang Bu under normal circumstances, Wukong has to say that he is very pleased, so he wants to go to Kaiwang God Realm and let the old Kaiwang God develop his potential. But think about it or forget it, Wukong feels that he has to rely on himself to break through the limit. Dad, I want to play against you once, okay? Suddenly, Gohan made this request. Wukong was stunned for a moment, and when he saw Gohan's firm gaze, he reacted and smiled, of course. Chapter 135_Borderless. The Missing Trio. 5 days later. In Bulma's house, all the partners have come one after another. During this period, they also knew that Bulma had a daughter, and they all congratulated them. What's the matter? Why do you guys look so serious? Isn't it just an ordinary martial arts club? Kelling and number 17 came over, and happened to see Vegeta and Piccolo's faces not very good looking, but a strong man. It looks like it will never return. This can't help but make people who don't know it a little confused. Gohan and the others looked at each other. Beerus came over. Yo, bald boy, long time no see. Lord Beerus. Krillin greeted quickly. Beerus nodded casually, then looked at everyone. Are you all here? Dad and number 17 haven't come yet. In addition, there have been some changes in the situation. My father-in-law called just now to say that Boo will not be able to come temporarily. Gohan said suddenly. What? Why? Beerus frowned. Boo had the impression that it was the fat man who robbed him of his food. This guy's strength is okay. What's going on now? Gohan hesitated for a moment, then explained. It is said that Boo has fallen asleep because he ate too much, and it will take a while to wake up. Beerus. Seeing that Beerus's blue veins are about to bulge, everyone's expressions change. This grumpy god of destruction will not do anything bad again, right? Lord Beerus, calm down, the power conference is important. Whis suddenly reminded. Hearing this, Beerus suppressed his emotions, and then said solemnly, then what should I do now? There were originally 10 people, but now you tell me there is one less. I'm going to the Boundless Realm soon, where can I find it? A reliable expert. The Boundless Realm is where the power conference is held. Gohan was a little helpless. He discussed it with Piccolo and the others. He was the team leader in this power meeting, so he also had a certain responsibility. The main reason was that Boo slept too early. Just stepping on it. Unpredictable. Luya, who was on the side, was about to remind him when he saw this, but suddenly his face froze, and then he looked aside. At the same time, 2 figures flashed into the field. It was Wukong and number 17. Dad. Goku. When Wukong came back, everyone seemed to have the backbone. Piccolo looked at number 17, his eyes narrowed slightly. Is everyone here? I don't need to introduce this one, right? Number 17, our opponent back then. Now he will be our opponent in the 7th universe. Wukong laughed and introduced it immediately. No. 17 glanced at everyone, and then smiled slightly. It's presumptuous. At this moment, Piccolo suddenly stepped forward, stood in front of number 17, and looked at him calmly. The latter also looked directly at Piccolo with a faint smile. Krillin and Gohan were a little worried. After all, Piccolo and number 17 were formidable rivals back then. Suddenly, Piccolo smiled slightly and stretched out his hand. Yes, we haven't seen you for so many years. You are completely different from before. No. 17 also shook hands with a smile. You have won the prize, and you have improved a lot. The two looked at each other and smiled, and their grievances had already faded away. Well, Dad, there's something I need to let you know. It's Boo. Gohan told Goku about Boo. The latter was stunned for a moment, then had a headache. Why is it so coincidental? It's really a headache. Hey. Wukong, what should I do now? It's almost time to go to the realm of nothingness, and now there is one person missing. Beerus said angrily. I think, Wukong thought. Otherwise, how about a meal in Tianjin? Kaylin suddenly said. No way. Tianjin fans' strength is not as strong as Boo's. If you want to find someone who is not weaker than Boo. Vegeta suddenly said, for this competition, the entire 7th universe is at stake. Question of survival. Why is this? Tianjin rice is also very strong. Kaylin said a little aggrieved. No. 18 comforted Krillin. She sensed something was wrong, so she asked, what's wrong? Isn't it just an ordinary game? Anyway, there are 10 people, and it's okay for one of them to be weaker. Gohan hesitated. Or, what are you hiding from us? Also, is it true that Wukong said that there will be 10 million bonuses for participating in the conference? Number 18 said solemnly. Haha. Wukong was embarrassed. He was indeed fooling the other party. What, Wukong, you lied. Where is there 10 million? Bulma was a little unhappy about Wukong's lying. Wukong, is this true? You lied to us. Kaylin looked at Wukong in disbelief. Sorry, Krillin. Wukong felt a little guilty. There is really no prize of 10 million yuan, but, this power conference, every universe will participate, and each universe will have 10 people. If all 10 people lose, then Lord Quanwang will wipe the corresponding universe. Eliminate. Beerus suddenly said, no longer hiding. What? Clinton was startled, and immediately broke into a cold sweat. I am sorry Krillin. I also wanted you to participate with number 18, so that we can have a better chance of winning. That's why I lied to you about the 10 million bonus. Wukong apologized. What did you say? A look of anger suddenly appeared on number 18's pretty face. Everyone looked at number 18 in confusion. Wukong, do you think you don't treat me as a brother too much when you do this? Even if you don't tell me about this, I and number 18 will come forward. Kaylin said solemnly. No, 18 also echoed. Although I do like money, but you do this, it really makes people a little uncomfortable. Haha, sorry, not next time. Wukong scratched his head. Well, in order to make up for what Wukong owes you, I also hope that you can take this conference seriously, and I will pay the 10 million yuan. Bulma suddenly said. Really? Number 18 raised his eyebrows in disbelief. Of course, Bulma affirmed. She is the richest man, 10 million is nothing. So far the misunderstanding is resolved. Seeing this scene, Luya couldn't help but glance at Bulma, rich woman. Beautiful and rich, Vegeta earned it. Old son, is there a new candidate now? Piccolo suddenly asked. Hurry up and solve it, otherwise the consequences will be serious. Beerus said lightly. Wukong thought for a while, then frowned a little, and his thoughts were a little confused in such a hurry. How is Frieza? Suddenly, a voice sounded. PFF'd. Vegeta, who was drinking juice, spurted out. What? Everyone was also shocked, and then they all looked at the speaker. Luya was a little innocent. Did I say something wrong? Luya, do you mean to let Frieza fight? Krillin looked at Luya in disbelief. Luya nodded. Indeed, he is the most suitable candidate. No. How can someone like Frieza be suitable? I don't agree. Vegeta's face was extremely ugly, and he still hated Frieza very much. Not only him, but others are also a little unacceptable. Can that evil emperor really be obedient and fight for the 7th universe? I think it's okay. Luya, good idea. Wukong suddenly said excitedly. After all, he also thought that Frieza was the most suitable guy. Hey, Kakarot, don't mess around, Vegeta warned. Wukong frowned a little, but now only Frieza is the strongest, and it's almost impossible to find someone stronger than Buu now. But isn't Frieza dead? Dad, are you serious? Gohan was also in a cold sweat. Hey, this is easy. I can ask the fortune-teller mother-in-law to resurrect Frieza for a day, isn't that enough? Wukong smiled, feeling more and more feasible. What if that guy messes up? Have you ever thought about it? Kakarot, Vegeta was still a little embarrassed. If he messes up, I'll take care of him myself. Not to mention Luya, his strength is not weaker than Frieza. Wukong laughed. Luya couldn't help straightening his back. Indeed, Frieza's strength is indeed rare in the universe, so he can indeed make a shot on behalf of me in the 7th universe, but also pay attention to the scale. His ambition is very big, unless he has a handle, of course. Now this is the only way to do it. After all, if Universe 7 loses, then everyone will be faithful, and it will be meaningless at that time. Whis suddenly said. Very good. If that's the case, then let me find him. Wukong grinned, and immediately disappeared without teleportation. Everyone. Chapter 136_Frieza joins the battle. Reach the realm of nothingness. Space capsule. Everyone was still waiting for Goku to bring Frieza back, but they all looked worried. First, I didn't expect that King Quan, who stood at the top, would be so ruthless, and directly threaten to erase the universe, but people really have that ability. This is undoubtedly a very big disaster for them, the universe creatures. They must win this conference for the 7th universe, so that the 7th universe can be spared, and the price is that they will be evil people and defeat other universes. When they knew that only one of the 12 universes could remain, the pressure in their hearts multiplied in vain. That is to say, the probability of their universe continuing to exist is only 1 in 12. It's been a tough fight. Then let Frieza go to the game with them. That guy Frieza has a lot of heart and mind. Maybe he will cooperate with him, and co-author will come from behind instead. Although some of the comrades present were once the enemies of the Earth, but after Goku's efforts, it can be considered that they have been corrected, but Frieza is different. No matter how many times this guy is defeated, he will always oppose them. This point for them, that's a huge headache. Frieza, the proper villain. And it is a very stubborn villain. No matter what, they have to deal with Sun Wukong and the others. Over time, the soldiers are also very jealous and hated for Frieza. At this moment, Beerus suddenly stood up and looked at Weiss. Weiss, let's go. Whis understood and nodded immediately. Yes, Beerus-sama. Saying that, they greeted the crowd and then disappeared. Luya watched them disappear, thought of the answer, and simply didn't think about it. After a few minutes, everyone felt something, and they all looked aside. I saw Beerus and the others reappear, along with Goku and Frieza. Seeing this scene, everyone's faces suddenly became serious. Frieza, hey. Keep everyone waiting. Wukong greeted everyone. It's just that everyone's eyes are now on Frieza. Vegeta's face is also very ugly, and the eyes looking at Frieza are a little cold. Ho 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 ho, I didn't expect everyone to be here. Next, please take care of me. Frieza was still cunning. Facing the crowd, she was not afraid at all, but she felt a little chatty. Frieza, you'd better not mess around, or I won't let you go. Vegeta warned. Ho ho, Vegeta, it's been a long time, why do you still look scared of me? Don't be scared, I won't do anything. Frieza teased. What did you say? Vegeta stared at Frieza with gritted teeth, as if she was about to start in the next second. Seeing these two incompatible guys gave Gohan and the others a headache. Gohan couldn't help worrying and said, are they really good? If there is a feud at the convention, it will be very unfavorable. Humph. Let them solve it, Piccolo said lightly. Okay, Vegeta, you don't have to quarrel anymore. Frieza is now a contestant representing our entire universe in the power tournament. Let's settle the previous grievances. Goku quickly comforted, then looked at Foley Saw. Hey Frieza, remember to promise me, if you dare to mess up, I'll take care of you myself. Ho ho ho, I know. Frieza showed a meaningful smile. As he said that, Frieza seemed to notice something, and suddenly he turned his head and his eyes just met Luya's. Seeing the guy who personally sent him back to the garden, the smile on Frieza's face suddenly disappeared. So you are also a participant in the power conference. Luya glanced at Frieza lightly, and then grinned. It's interesting, it seems that after the last lesson, you have already done enough training. Ho ho ho, of course, now I can master the Golden Frieza in perfect form, how about it? Do you want to try it? Frieza walked towards Luya. Hey, Frieza, Wukong frowned, a little unhappy. Luya didn't have the slightest fear and walked over as well. The two faced each other with murderous intent in their eyes. Everyone was watching this scene nervously. Frieza looked at Luya and suddenly smiled. I hope you can persevere in the power conference, otherwise it will be a bit boring. Luya grinned. Don't worry, even if you're out, I won't be out, so it's you who should be careful. The two looked at each other and smiled, but the smile was somewhat meaningful. Okay, now that everyone has gathered, let's go, but I'm going to say my ugly words first. If any of you dare not take this power conference seriously, I can only destroy him. Beerus suddenly came out. The channel, the voice solemnly urged. After all, it is about the destruction of the universe. He, the god of destruction, doesn't mind showing his character as a god of destruction and treats everyone ruthlessly. Don't worry, with our strongest lineup, we can definitely win. Wukong said confidently. Don't be so full of words, there are also a lot of masters in other universes. These masters have unique skills and are quite troublesome to deal with, so you should be careful, and it is said that there are more than one in other universes. The god of destruction is a powerful warrior. Whis suddenly said. Really? Wukong was surprised and asked curiously. Everyone's face is also solemn, and it is already very terrifying to be equal to the god of destruction. If this surpasses the god of destruction, isn't it a super master? How could this possibly win the other side? However, compared to the worries of Klein and the others, Wukong, Vegeta and others have nothing to fear, because they have all experienced all kinds of hardships. How could they still be afraid of such a master? On the contrary, strong opponents can excite them, only in this way can they push their boundaries and truly reach the pinnacle of Saiyans. This is the goal of Goku and Vegeta. Weiss smiled and said, I don't know if it's true, but there are experts of this level, you just do your best. No, you must not only do your best, but also win the battle. Be careful to protect yourself, and don't be easily eliminated. Beerus urged seriously. Hearing this, everyone nodded quickly. The time is almost up, in that case, let's eat. Weiss smiled slightly, and then used the power of an angel to teleport the warriors and the two realm gods together. When they disappeared, Bulma was a little worried. I hope you can return safely. Ellipsis 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 ellipsis. The boundless. The realm of nothingness, as its name suggests, is a chaotic space with nothing, and here, the arena established by the great priest and several gods of destruction. The entire arena is very huge, and it also uses special materials, very strong, great for brawls. There is a huge column in the middle of the ring, and the whole ring is in the shape of a top. In the space on the edge of the ring, there were about 10 seats, which were the audience seats. At this time, several gods of destruction have already arrived, and they are making the final repairs in the ring. The two Quanwongs were sitting on the main seat, with 4 guards standing behind them, and the two Quanwongs were playing with each other. At this time, the great priest in front suddenly smiled and said, Master Quanwong, they are here. Huh. Suddenly, the two Quanwong gang attracted attention. And the next moment, one after another brilliance appeared on the ring, the brilliance dissipated, and dozens of people appeared, all of them were masters from various universes. The players who represent their own universe to participate in this power competition. Goku and others also appeared in the field. It's amazing. Is this the place where the power conference is held? It's so big. Wukong said a little excitedly. This is the realm of nothingness, a space made up of special substances. It is the best place to hold a power conference here, Weiss explained. A competition ring of this size is suitable for large-scale brawls. I thought it wasn't as big as I thought. It seems that I thought too much. Gohan said with a sigh. Are those masters from other universes? I feel that each of them is not a simple thing. Klein looked at the masters of the universe around him, and said with some fear. Hey, that's great. The stronger the opponent, the more fighting spirit. Wukong grinned. Chapter 137_ The proud team is here. The strongest Jiren. In a short period of time, almost all the warriors from the 9 universes have arrived, and the god of destruction, the angels, and the Kaiwang god have all fallen into the audience. Of the 12 universes, 4 universes do not need to compete, so the remaining 8 universes will compete, and the one universe that finally wins will survive, and the rest will be wiped out by the king of all. The ones that don't need to fight are the 1st universe, 5th universe, 8th universe, and 12th universe. The average level of these 4 universes has reached 7 or above, so they have the value of existence, so they do not need to participate in this power conference, and the remaining 8 universes, the level is below 7, so they need to fight. When the battle starts, we have to follow the plan and find out the strength of each universe first, otherwise it will be easy to suffer losses. Gohan suddenly warned. Swish. And at this moment, a ray of light fell, and then, a group of red-clothed warriors appeared on the field. As soon as they appeared, Wukong and the others all had a condensed expression and looked over vigilantly. Basically, every player in Universe 7 can feel the aura of the enemy, so in their opinion, the tight-fitting red-clothed warrior who suddenly appeared has a good aura. In particular, there are individual or unfathomable strengths. That's the warrior of the 11 universes. Wukong said with a serious expression. Universe 11. Humph. It's interesting, Vegeta said proudly with a grin on the corner of her mouth. Bluya glanced at Jillian, and his eyes were meaningful. The strength of this hair is very powerful. It can be said that no one on the field is his opponent. Not even if he could transform into Super Saiyan Red. It seems that there will be a tough battle in the end. I'll go say hello. Wukong suddenly opened his mouth and said, and he went straight to the 11th universe. Hey Wukong. Keelan wanted to stop it, but Wukong had already approached the 11th universe camp. Does Wukong know them well? Gohan explained at this time. Master Quanwang held a competition before, and Dad played against Topo from Universe 11. The opponent's strength is very strong, and the father who can force him to transform into a Super Saiyan Blue talent fight against it, so Dad has a good impression of him. Quote. So powerful, Krillin was a little shocked. Because he knows that Super Saiyan Blue is Goku's unique trick, and that Topo can actually force Goku to transform, which is a very tricky opponent. It's interesting. Frieza's attention was also attracted by the 11th universe. It seems that this power meeting is not as boring as I thought. Hey Topo, we meet again. Wukong beckoned to Topo. Son Wukong. Topo looked at Wukong with a cold expression. How dare you come here? What? He is Monkey King, the culprit of this power conference. At this time, a soldier said in surprise. Everyone's eyes are also fixed. They all know that they will be wiped out if they lose, so they have a very bad impression of the culprit, Son Wukong. Don't be so cold. By the way, Topo, wait for me to continue the last battle. There must always be a winner between us. Wukong looked at Topo and grinned. Topo glanced at Wukong, and then said lightly, of course your existence needs to be eliminated, but I represent justice, and this time, I represent the entire 11 universes, so if you want to fight me, of course you can, but I wouldn't do these trivial things for personal reasons. Why? Wukong was a little bored. Suddenly, Wukong noticed Jiren who was blocked by Topo, and his eyes narrowed slightly, because he felt the unfathomable abyss of the other party. Unfathomable. Wukong was shocked because he had never felt this way before. Even in the face of Zama's, he did not feel this way. The power of the opponent must be very strong. Thinking of this, Wukong suddenly became excited. He looked at Jiren, raised his hand and said hello, that. At this moment, Topo stopped him. Son Wukong. You have crossed the line. Wukong glanced at Topo, and then said, I just want to talk to him. After all, he is a future opponent. Topo's eyes were already angry. Forget it. At this moment, an indifferent voice sounded. When Topo heard this, he was stunned for a moment, and then helplessly he could only put away the hand that blocked Wukong. Wukong was overjoyed, and then walked to Jiren. Hello, my name is Son Wukong, from the 7th universe. You must be very strong, right? Jiren glanced at Wukong, expressionless. Go away. Wukong's face froze, then a little embarrassed. Is this guy so indifferent? At this moment, a huge block suddenly flew towards this side. Get out of the way. Wukong. Klein and the others were shocked. Wukong was also startled, and immediately jumped up subconsciously, and immediately jumped off the block, but at this moment, he noticed that Jiren didn't move at all in the face of the block that was about to hit him. This made Wukong very vigilant. And suddenly, the moment the block was about to hit Jiren, it suddenly turned in a direction, and finally made up for the last flaw in the ring. All this happened between lightning and thunder, but Wukong's face was very serious at this time. This guy has already noticed the movement of the cube. What a terrible guy, Wukong whispered, looking at Jiren with a strong fighting intent. The more he did, the more he wanted to fight the opponent. Hey, old son, come back, Piccolo suddenly shouted. Wukong responded, then took a deep look at Jiren and turned to leave. Is that Son Wukong? It doesn't feel very good. At this moment, a rabbit alien who looked a bit like Beerus suddenly said. He is one of the warriors of the 11th universe, the warrior who is best at speed. Tease broke. Topo looked at Son Wukong who was leaving, and then said solemnly, don't underestimate any opponent, especially this Monkey King. He is likely to be our strongest opponent to win the championship. What? Isn't it? General Casalol said in disbelief. To be honest, if I fight him and both sides don't let go, maybe I won't be able to defeat him easily. I can only say that the odds of winning are very low. Topo said lightly. The 7th universe is not easy. Tispo sighed. Topo looked at Jiren, then hesitated for a moment, and said, Jillian, I hope you can carry forward the spirit of the proud team and help us sweep all opponents. Jillian glanced at Topo, and then said lightly, got it. Goku returned to his side. Dad, are you too reckless? Gohan said helplessly. Haha, I'm sorry, I couldn't help it when I saw the master. Wukong said a little embarrassedly. Kakarot, who is that guy? Vegeta asked suddenly. Obviously he had been paying attention to the situation over there just now. His name is Jiren, he is the ace fighter of the 11th universe, and he may also be our toughest opponent to win the championship. So you have to be careful. Luya suddenly said. Luya, how do you know his name? Could it be that you know him? Wukong asked with some doubts. Luya said lightly, it's normal to know about your opponent, but I advise you not to find him, or you will regret it. Is it so serious? Teacher Wu Tian asked curiously. It can make Luya feel that he is a tricky guy, his power must be very powerful. Wukong narrowed his eyes slightly, but his fighting spirit was extremely high. Luya sighed, and he could only advise, he couldn't intervene in what the other party did. It should be interesting to see the situation. It's a little better than guarding animals. Number 17 smiled and looked around. No, 18 glanced at him, and then said, you have looked very good all these years. No. 17 smiled slightly. It's alright, but you're not better than my sister. You are married, and the object is this bald boy. No. 18. Kaylin was a little embarrassed. This brother-in-law likes to tell the truth. At this time, the great priest suddenly appeared above the crowd. He glanced at everyone in the arena, and immediately smiled. Okay, now the arena has been repaired, and then, let me talk about the power conference and the rules. Chapter 138 _ The power of the strong is a forest. As the great priest spoke, everyone quieted down. The grand priest paused for a moment, then smiled and said, this time, the power conference will last for 100 tuckers, which is equivalent to 48 minutes. During this process, the contestants cannot use the flying technique to fly. Of course, they have an innate advantage. Yes, you can, for example, you have wings, and you must not use foreign objects to restore your own strength, and then you can't kill people. Killing is considered eliminated, and players cannot use weapons other than their own tricks. If you fall off the ring, you will be considered out. Of course, you will lose your combat effectiveness, but as long as you are in the ring, you will not be eliminated. These are the rules, you should keep in mind. Quote. In other words, can't we eat fairy beans? Gohan was a little disappointed. But that's okay. The game only lasts 48 minutes. Although it's a bit tough, as long as you preserve your strength, you can persevere to the end. Piccolo said lightly. However, we can't use air dance, and we can't fly. We lose 2 advantages for us. Kaylin said helplessly. No matter what, we must believe in our own strength. Everyone treats them equally, and no matter who they are, they will be restricted, so this is very fair. Teacher Wu Tian said slowly. That's right. At this time, the great priest suddenly said again, if all 10 players in a certain universe are eliminated, then the universe they are in will also declare a failure, and Lord Quanwang will personally erase it. Pay attention to the next power conference, otherwise it will disappear forever. Everyone's eyes were condensed, and they all felt the pressure. However, if the universe that wins in the end can reward you with super wishing beads to help you make any wish come true. Okay, not much to say. Now let's announce the start of the game together by Lord Quanwang in the present time and space and Lord Quanwang in the future time and space. The Grand Priest gestured with his hand. 2 full kings. For the gods who are familiar with Quanwang's horror and those who know it, they all understand that a Quanwang is already invincible. If there are 2 Quanwangs, who would dare to disturb? As the 2 Xiaochuan kings stood up, the gods also stood up one after another. Now, I declare, the power conference begins. Start. The 2 Quanwangs raised their small fists and shouted. Chong. The great priest did not know where to take out a gong and struck it. As King Quan's words just fell, everyone in the field looked solemn. They looked at each other vigilantly. Here, except their own universe, everyone else is their opponent. Hey, some warriors who like to fight directly rushed out towards the others. Pulling one hair and moving the whole body, it was like a fuse, and the war started directly. Let's start. Wukong laughed, and immediately took the brunt and joined the battlefield. Hey, Dad. Gohan wanted to stop, but there was no way. Goku had already joined the fight. And after Goku, Vegeta, number 17, Frieza and these guys also scattered to find their opponents. As the captain, Gohan has a headache. They are too messy, they don't follow our pre-agreed agreement at all. Luya suddenly took a few steps, then looked at Gohan and the others. You don't know their characters, how could you be willing to wait and see? Luya, shouldn't you? Gohan's mouth twitched slightly. Luya crooked his neck, and then said, to participate in this power conference, in addition to fighting for the 7th universe, you can also play against various masters. This is a good opportunity. See you then. With a wave of his hand, Luya directly joined the battlefield. Gohan sighed helplessly. Vic comforted. Let's leave them alone, their characters are just like that, we just need to do our own thing. Hearing this, Gohan could only nod his head. Boom 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 boom. At the beginning of the power conference, the entire arena was full of energy waves colliding, and colorful energy exploded, and the time was like setting off firecrackers. It's amazing. The two Quanwongs on the left and right in the main seat watched this scene with bright eyes. Zuo Quanwong, it's so exciting. It's like fireworks. King Yuquan, yes, it's amazing. The power conference is amazing. When the Grand Priest saw King Quan so happy, he breathed a sigh of relief in his heart. Then he spread out his palm, and a tablet suddenly appeared in his hand. He walked up to King Quan and handed it to the two King Quan respectfully. Master Quan Wong, this is the information of the players in each universe. If a player is eliminated, Lord Quan Wong can click on the avatar of the relevant person, which means elimination. Huh. The two Quanwongs reached out a hand to take it in a very tacit understanding. After playing for a while, they suddenly became excited. It's amazing. This way, the players from different universes can clearly see it. King Zuo Quan smiled and said to the High Priest, "Thank you." The Grand Priest gave a respectful salute. It should be, then don't disturb Lord Quanwong to watch the game. Saying that, he stepped aside. The realm gods and angels of the gods of destruction in each universe are watching the situation in the field. They all saw the strength of each universe. I have to say that tension appears in the hearts of these gods of destruction, because if all the members are eliminated, then the entire universe will be wiped out directly. This one includes them. Except for the angels, the entire universe will cease to exist. Hey, these guys have 2 strokes. Beerus looked at this scene with his chest folded, a little serious. Whether they can win or not depends on Wukong and the others. If they lose, the consequences will be very serious. The King God said sadly. Relax your mind, you should learn from me, don't be so frizzy, after all, you are also the gods of the World King. Believe in Wukong and the others, their strength is not weak. The old World King said lightly. Yes. The Realm King could only obediently say yes. Ha ha ha, Beerus, you must be the first in the 7th universe to be eliminated this time. At this moment, Shangpa, who was not far away, suddenly looked at him mockingly. Beerus glanced at the other party lightly, and then said lightly, HMPH, you are only our defeated generals, how dare you make a big statement. Naive. Humph, this time is different. This time, our 6th universe is very well prepared. You will definitely lose, Shangpa said proudly. If you are erased, I will miss you as a brother. Quote. Blam. Idiot. Beerus didn't bother to care about his brain-dead brother, and ignored it. Boom. At this time, a powerful force suddenly erupted in the field, and at the same time, a figure screamed and flew out, and finally fell directly into the ring. And as the player fell, the gods all stared at each other. Huh. I saw a sturdy figure on the bench of the ninth universe. How could this be? Even Westhorpe's absolute zero failed. I'm sorry, Westhorpe said with a guilty face. At this time, the great priest suddenly said, I announce that the fourth Thorpe of the ninth universe is out and eliminated. Yeah, has anyone already been out? King Quan was suddenly excited, and then he picked up the god pad. Ninth universe. Sishorp. Where is Sishorp? Oh yo, found it. He stretched out his finger and tapped on Westhorpe's avatar, and the latter's avatar suddenly darkened. How is that possible? It turned out that my warrior from the ninth universe was out first. Who is it? The ninth world king suddenly looked at the person who defeated Westhorpe angrily. I saw a short-haired boy standing calmly on the edge of the ring, looking at him coldly. What? It turned out to be the seventh universe. The ninth realm king god was immediately angry when he saw the other party. Good job Luya. Beerus was excited. Yes, it was Luya who defeated Westhorpe. The guy originally wanted to freeze Luya, but who knew that Luya directly sent the opponent out with a teleportation and an energy bomb. Bastard. Listen to me from the ninth universe. Get rid of the seventh universe first. The ninth realm king god suddenly roared. Immediately, the remaining warriors of the ninth universe were surrounded by the seventh universe, and their faces were not good. Oops, I'm surrounded. Wukong looked at the three werewolf brothers who were surrounded by him vigilantly. HMPH. Monkey King, this time, you won't win as easily as last time. The final victory must be ours in Universe 9. The werewolf brother looked at Monkey King with a grin. Hey, it just happened that there wasn't enough competition last time, so let's do it again this time. Wukong was not afraid at all, posing. At the same time, other members of the seventh universe were also targeted by the soldiers of the ninth universe. Chapter 139-Universe 7 vs Universe 9. With the order of the god of the ninth realm, for a time, the warriors of the ninth universe directly surrounded the warriors of the seventh universe, and the cooperation between them was very strong. Even Gohan and the others were a little tricky to deal with. Hey, Sishorp is the one you defeated. At this moment, a gray-haired, brown-skinned alien with a naked upper body walked towards Luya. Luya turned around and glanced at him, then smiled and said, Who are you talking about? I'm sorry, I really don't remember it. Hey, arrogant guy, stop being self-righteous. Now I, Oregon, will avenge Westhorpe. That Oregon said gloomily. If my guess is correct, you should be from the ninth universe, right? Luya asked suddenly. That's right, Oregon said proudly. It's really pitiful, you guys want to eliminate our seventh universe first, but you are the biggest clowns. Luya shook his head. You bastard, take it. Oregon shouted angrily, and then suddenly waved at Luya, and suddenly white silk shot out from his hands. If it was entangled by these spider silk-like things, that is very troublesome. Luya sneered, and in the next second, he disappeared strangely in place. When it reappeared, it was only a moment, and Luya appeared in front of Oregon. No, impossible. Oregon was shocked, he didn't expect this guy to be so fast. He has absolutely no chance of reacting. It's time for you to go down and accompany that sissup. Luya grinned, then stretched out his hand to directly condense the energy bullet, and launched it in an instant. With almost zero distance contact, the opponent had no power to parry at all. No, Oregon screamed unwillingly, but it was too late, and was directly shot down by Luya's energy bomb. Universe 9, one more out. Oregon. At this moment, Catwoman and Lavanda who fought fiercely with Vegeta screamed. I said you guys, where are you looking? At this moment, Vegeta's face suddenly became angry. You clowns, you underestimate the power of Vegeta. Ha! In an instant, Vegeta transformed into a Super Saiyan. The power skyrocketed in vain. Damn it! Catwoman's expression changed. At first she was able to cooperate perfectly with Lavanda to suppress the other party, but now the other party's power has skyrocketed so much in vain. Chi! Vegeta snorted coldly, and rushed directly in front of Catwoman in the next second, and then slammed the latter's stomach with a violent punch. Catwoman screamed in agony, but before she could recover, Vegeta hit her continuously and kicked her into the air with one kick. "You rubbish! Get me out of the game!" Vegeta jumped up and jumped directly into the air, slamming her fists violently, instantly smashing Catwoman down. At the same time, the latter fell directly to the edge of the ring, and with a bang, the ring was directly pierced, and Catwoman fell directly into the ring. How is that possible? 7 people are out at once. Impossible. The 9th Realm King God's face suddenly became ugly, because it has not been 10 minutes since the beginning of the power conference, and he has been out of the 9th universe 3 people. This is undoubtedly a very bad situation. Humph. A bunch of mediocre people. How dare they be enemies of the Saiyans in Universe 7? Beerus sneered. It's really amazing. It's rare to be able to turn the tide and change the situation even under the siege. The old Realm King sighed. That's because they didn't choose to go all out. In the current situation, it's a very wise choice to save physical strength. If you use Super Saiyan Blue at the beginning, you may end up being killed because of excessive physical energy consumption. Those who want to take advantage of it. Weiss said indifferently. Boom, boom, boom. A blue light is flying through the air, and in the blue light is a girl with wings. She uses her advantage of being able to fly to continuously release energy bombs at everyone, just like a bomber. She is the Lilib dance of the 10th universe. Damn, is it amazing to be able to fly? Basil looked indifferently at the Lilib dance in the air. The next moment he took off with one foot, and a huge shockwave directly condensed on the sole of his foot. Out, humph. Take me for a trick. Li Beiwu was not afraid at all, and directly hit a shock wave with both hands. The two energies meet directly. But obviously Basil's power is stronger, directly suppressing Lilib dance. With a scream, Li Beiwu was directly bombed and fell off the ring. Now I announce that in the 10th universe, Lilib dance is out. The Grand Priest announced with a smile. Li Beiwu. The 10th universe. King Zuo Quan directly found Li Beiwu of the 10th universe, and immediately extinguished his avatar. Good job Basil. Now go help Bergamo defeat Sun Wukong. The 9th Realm King God shouted with satisfaction. Yes, Lord Kaiwangshan, Basil said respectfully, then looked at Bergamo who was fighting with Sun Wukong, and sneered, Monkey King. The next one is you. Ha ha ha. After he finished speaking, he rushed out directly towards Sun Wukong. Wukong is fighting with Bergamo, and the opponent's strength has improved a lot from the last time. No, it should be said that the opponent didn't use his true strength last time. Wukong grabbed the opponent's 2 fists, and immediately kicked his feet straight forward. Bergamo directly screamed and flew out. Before Wukong could catch his breath, he suddenly felt a sense of crisis, and the next moment he hurriedly turned around to protect himself with both hands. Bump! One foot directly kicked Wukong fiercely, and the latter immediately retreated. Wukong looked at Basil who came to support him and grinned, 2 against 1. Wrong. It's 3 on 1. At this time, Lavanda fell down and directly formed a flank, surrounding Wukong. Hee, Sun Wukong, this time our 3 brothers will take action together. Let's see what else you can do. Bergamo walked over with a playful smile on his face. Wukong was ready to fight, but there was no fear on his face. It would be better to let the 3 of you go together. Said that, Wukong grinned. You guys should have improved a lot these days, right? Take it out now. Humph. Forced to be calm, Bergamo snorted coldly, then burst into vein, and suddenly, blue light enveloped him. Basil and Lavanda were naturally unwilling to be outdone. Lavanda blew at his hands, and suddenly spewed 2 poisonous gas, and at the same time a burst of gas, only a yellow light enveloped him. The strength of Basil's whole body is also gathered in his legs. Humph. It's interesting. Wukong obviously felt a little unusual, but he didn't have the slightest fear. Come on. Call out, call out, call out. At the beginning of the battle, several people teleported directly at high speed. The three werewolf brothers slammed around Sun Wukong without giving the opponent any way to escape. The three attacked at the same time, and Wukong was also passively blocked. Bump. Wow. The three of them joined forces, and even Wukong was a little hard to resist, especially Basil's sneak attacks from time to time, and Lavanda's poisonous gas, even Wukong had to guard against it. Ha! Wukong gasped directly, but what appeared was a protective shield on his surface. Suddenly, Wukong attacked directly towards Lavanda. Under the strong attack of Wukong, Lavanda turned out to be an irresistible trend. How is that possible? He was able to ignore my poisonous gas. Lavanda's eyes were deeply shocked. Let me come. At this moment, a voice came from behind, and Lavanda directly disappeared, and at the same time Basil directly attacked Wukong. The latter can only rush a block. The fierce collision began immediately, and the three werewolf brothers would join forces to declare it to the fullest, without any dead-end attack. Wukong was directly suppressed. Ha ha ha, see how powerful my ninth universe is. This is the dangerous triangle. A super lineup united by a dangerous trio. Sun Wukong will definitely lose. The ninth realm king god said proudly. Damn, that guy is so noisy. Beerus looked at the other party in disgust. Dangerous triangular array. The name is not very good, but the power is amazing. The old realm king said speechlessly. Beerus couldn't stand it any longer and stood up. Hey. Vegeta. Luya. Go and help. Vegeta was fighting against the steel warrior Chapier at this time, but the opponent ignored his power. No matter how hard he fought, the opponent did not have the slightest thing like hitting the steel. Chapter 140 _ The Last Three Wolves. The battle begins. Call out, call out, call out. Ho ha ho ho, it's such a wonderful feeling. Somewhere in the ring, Frieza was throwing waves around, attacking opponents indiscriminately. For this kind of big fight, he likes it the most. Suddenly, an extremely fast-flying figure swooped down from the sky. I want to attack Frieza. The corner of the latter's mouth lifted a veiled smile, and then his fingers pointed back, and a red glow shot out directly. Puff! Ah! With a scream, the attacker suddenly fell. The other party looked a bit like a bat, and was holding his own wings at this time. Frieza just hit his wing and made him unable to fly. Ho ha ho ho, I didn't expect it, I planned to slip you away. Frieza walked slowly, and then stood in front of her opponent with a strange smile. The game is over, please take a trip. As he spoke, he stretched out his finger and pointed at the opponent, and a red light lit up on his finger. No, don't. The opponent immediately showed deep fear in his eyes. He knew that the opponent's strength was very terrifying, and this blow might directly pierce his head. And looking at the appearance of the other party, it seems that it can be done completely. Ho ha ho, don't worry, I will send you on your way very gently. Frieza's eyes were full of jokes, and the villain's face was full. No. Don't. The opponent was frightened in an instant, turned around and ran quickly, but his brain was hot, and he jumped off the ring on his own initiative. Swish. There is another player in the ninth universe's camp. What's the matter? Why did you come back by yourself? The god of destruction in Universe 9 looked at the Batman dissatisfied. Huh. The latter was stunned for a moment, then reacted immediately. His face changed greatly. By the way, why did he run away? What's the matter? So many people have been eliminated so quickly. The ninth realm king god said in exasperation. Humph. This is what happens when you go against me in the seventh universe. Beerus' mocking voice came over. Bastard. The ninth realm king god's face was extremely ugly, and then he shouted, get rid of the seventh universe guys. Throw them down. Swish. Just as he finished speaking, another player appeared next to him. What? The ninth realm king god was startled and looked around quickly, only to see a rabbit man appearing there, representing the elimination of the eyes. What's going on? The ninth god of destruction looked at the rabbit man solemnly. The latter smiled awkwardly. I was also eliminated. At the same time, in the field, number 18 glanced at the direction of Universe 9, snorted coldly, and turned away. Obviously, the rabbit man was defeated by her. 5 people have already been eliminated. The situation is not good. The 9th god of destruction's face was already a little ugly. At the same time, in the field, Luya is confronting a guy with a big body and a shape like a wild boar. There is also a fish man with a fish head next to him. Hearing Beerus' words, he subconsciously glanced in the direction Goku was in. At this time, Goku was being suppressed by the dangerous triangle formation and seemed to have a tendency to lose. However, Luya didn't care so much. He still has confidence in Wukong's strength. In contrast, he is a little bit inseparable now. Thinking of this, Luya looked at the 2 people on the opposite side and smiled. You two shouldn't be from the same universe, but you actually started a cooperation. Humph. With cooperation, it is not impossible to get rid of an opponent like you. The wrestler sneered. I am Napapa, the wrestler of the 10th universe, and we will deal with you now, the 7th cosmic guy. Luya smiled, then looked at the Murloc. You don't need to introduce, the 9th universe should disappear too. No words. The Murloc was about to speak, but at this moment, Luya had already appeared in front of him. What? Napapa turned his head subconsciously. Bump. Ouch. In an instant, Luya punched directly on the Murloc's stomach, and the latter spit out a mouthful of foam, bloodshot in his eyes. Impossible. Am I not mistaken? That's Flash Time Power. At this moment, Shanka of Universe 6 suddenly exclaimed in shock, looking at Luya in disbelief. Because the trick Luya showed just now was Hit's shelter skill. How is this possible? How did that guy learn to flash? Vados also looked disbelieving. Logically speaking, it is a fact that Luya has only played against Hit, but how could the other party learn Hit's flash power? Ah, the face of the Realm King of the 9th universe turned green, because the person Luya beat was the player of their 9th universe. Humph, what? This is the strength of your team. I'm sorry, I can only say goodbye now. Luya said jokingly, and then he glanced at Napapa beside him. The latter's face was already dripping with cold sweat. He didn't know that the guy in front of him was so terrifying. Looking at him at this time was like looking at a demon. Luya didn't talk nonsense with him, and immediately kicked out, and then kicked the Murloc out of the game. Universe 9th, eliminate one person again. After clapping his hands, Luya looked at Napapa and said, I heard that you are a wrestler. It's interesting, let's compete with me. What? You bastard. Napapa's body was a little stiff, but the other party dared to provoke him like this, angering him again. Hey, Luya smiled slightly, and then punched out. Napapa also punched subconsciously, and 2 powerful forces radiated directly. Not bad. Luya grinned, then his eyes turned cold, and suddenly he slammed into the opponent, and the speed was extremely fast. Napapa was directly suppressed. On the other hand, Vegeta also noticed the situation on Kakarot's side, and suddenly snorted, humph. That guy Kakarot is actually amusing himself. Hey. Where are you looking? Chapier said jokingly. Vegeta looked at Chapier, her face suddenly calmed down for some reason. You think your body can withstand an attack, right? Chapier was stunned for a moment, then sneered, yes. That's what happened. What? You can shoot and see if you can hurt me. This way. Vegeta suddenly showed a bloodthirsty smile. Boom. In the next second, Vegeta directly transformed into a Super Saiyan. What? Chapel was startled. You bastard, what's the difference between you and scrap metal? Vegeta snorted coldly, and then punched Chapier directly in the stomach, and a muffled sound suddenly sounded. Isn't it? Chapier felt that something was wrong, but he couldn't move at this time. Ha! Vegeta exerted a burst of strength, and suddenly, a golden power burst out from his fist. The next moment, a waterfall-like force directly sent Chapier flying out. The latter screamed and fell off the ring. The 7th player in the 9th universe, eliminated. Impossible. There are already 7. The 9th Realm King God almost collapsed at this time, And now there are only 3 Bergamo players left in their 9th universe. The 7th universe is so powerful. The god of destruction in the 9th universe said with a solemn expression. He remembered Frieza, who had sent someone to assassinate him before. This is not the other side's side. Good job. It looks like there are only those 3 dogs left. Come on, kill them. Beerus shouted, a group of relieved, who had been targeted before and made him very aggrieved. He was relieved. Hey, what are you proud of? Sun Wukong is still blocked by the dangerous triangular formation, it's only a matter of time before he loses. Shangba couldn't see better than Ruth, and couldn't help but said. Humph, it's just 3 dogs. How difficult can it be to deal with guys like them who can't stand on the stage? Beerus sneered. At this moment, Vegeta suddenly broke into the dangerous triangle, back to back with Goku. Vegeta, why are you here? Goku was a little puzzled. Humph. If I don't come, you will be forced to the edge of the ring. Vegeta said coldly and arrogantly. I can handle these 3 guys. Wukong said sternly. Idiot, you're just a few clowns jumping on the beam, why waste your energy? Quick fight, Vegeta said dissatisfied. Okay. Goku could only nod his head, and then he lost his temper and turned into a Super Saiyan.